Takes the kick in. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea. We are at episode 71, and Jason looks really different this week. I'm just going to throw it out there and just say that.
Is it multiplying?
I think it is, or maybe it's maybe multiverse Jason. But we call multiverse Jason Don Owens. What is up, man?
What is going down, guys? So happy to be here. We got a lot of great content to talk about today.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Don on PCPs and Am I on the Air? He has his own show, that's his show. So he's going in and doing his thing on there. And, we cross-pollinate all the time around here. So this is it. And we figured he'd be a perfect match to come in for Granny's, especially for this episode. Because this, like Don said, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight. And if you've seen the show before, you know Rick already. Rick's been on us. He was on his Hawkeye run with us because that's his man right there. Joined us for the Batman review and for our Spider-Man No Way Home review. Some of our biggest episodes to date. So, Rick, what's going on, man?
Feeling good. Just rewatched The Boys, so I came in here all pumped up. Threw a T-shirt on, remind me of Mother's Milk for a bit.
Nice. That is a shirt he would be rocking.
So, no, I'm just pumped to talk about these things. Haven't spoken with you for a while. And I think we've just really been blessed the last 7 days.
Yeah, it's been a lot between Thor, Love, and Thunder. We've gotten Ms.Marvel. We've gotten The Boys. And we have some cool stuff coming down the line. But there is a little bit of a lull outside of Harley Quinn coming up. It's kind of just a little quiet there. We got Harley Quinn. We got the DC Super Pets, which, of course, we'll talk about and we'll see it, and we'll hope it'll be fun. We know it'll be mostly a kids thing. It'll be fun. Of course it will. I mean, look at the cast they got.
Yes,
it'll be there. Jason will probably take his son to see it. It'll be a lot of fun. Rick, would you take Helen to see that?
It would be her first movie if I did. So.
Oh, okay. Not maybe. Trolls?
We saw those at home. She was too young.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be her first movie. She could hold her own bucket of popcorn and have her own candy. I think it's almost the right time for it.
Nice. All right, that would be sorry, just sharing the show out there quickly. Yeah, that would be a nice one, I think, to get her started with, though.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and let's jump into it then, guys. Let's go ahead and kick it off with The Boys season 3 finale. We'll throw up the spoiler warning since it's been up for a little less than a week. There you go. So if you haven't seen the finale, then come check us out for the next segment. If you haven't seen Ms.Marvel, or come back and check us out another time. But yeah, guys, I mean, this finale, it was nuts. It was actually, I think it was honestly the most action-packed episode of The Boys we've ever gotten. I mean, because the show does there's action involved in it, but there's a lot of crazy off-the-wall humor and smart satire and stuff like that. But I feel like this was the most action we've gotten. Don, what's your take on that?
I think I agree. This whole season, I feel, has been a step up. And yeah, this finale definitely too. I feel like this is something I want to go back and watch again. I know he just finished watching it again to get prepped for it. I wish, if I had a little bit more time before we did this show, I would have totally done it as well too. Because I've been meaning to go back because I feel like there was so much jam packed in that last episode that I feel like I've missed stuff, and I want to go back and I just want to kind of fresh eyes rewatch it again because it was there was so much going on. So, but what an amazing season.
Yeah, Rick, what's your take? You think we got the most action-packed episode yet?
I liked all the hand-to-hand combat stuff. It started showing we always thought that, there was all these giant layers of superheroes, and now we're actually getting to see it. And I like when they fight together. You get to see it's like everybody attacking Thanos. It was it's been a good step up because normally it's like an eye blast or something really quick, grabbing a guy and dragging him. It's always quick. It was a lot of fun to see the hand-to-hand stuff, especially Homelander kind of getting his butt handed to him in a fist fight with a girl.
Yeah, which we haven't seen. And Jason and I had talked about it a couple of weeks ago because we were always wondering, what is Maeve's like power level? Because we don't really see her do that much with her powers a lot. I think early on you see a scene with like there's a truck coming on in season 1, and she she stops it, and you always kind of get the idea. I always associate it. She's obviously the she's supposed to be like Wonder Woman. So I always equate her, right. So she's probably as strong as Homelander, but she kind of seems scared of Homelander up until this episode, and now they finally get to fight. So, there's a lot of powered on powered fighting, which we don't get a lot of. Like Rick had mentioned, there's been a lot of soup versus regular person, and that ends usually in 2 seconds or something like that, or but we did get a lot of fighting. But I guess let's go ahead and hit on each character and where their arc ended up for the season. And I think the biggest one to start with is Homelander. I mean, he's evil incarnate. He's a douchebag. He's also a guy that I personally can't take my eyes off of. Whenever the dude is on the screen, he just gives me this uneasy feeling. Like, what the hell is this guy going to do? Because he's on edge, and he's nuts. He's absolutely insane.
He's super, super nuts. I want to ask you guys, have you ever watched the show Banshee?
I have not, but I heard he was on. I heard Anthony Starr was on it, and he was great.
He is the lead of this show Banshee, which not enough people watched because it was on Cinemax, and nobody has Cinemax, so it was always one of those hard ones. But it's been off the air for a couple years now, and so that show made me a big fan of him. So when he got cast as Homelander, I was like, oh, my dude from Banshee, and I was super stoked to see, because I mean, it's obviously such a different character from that show. But on a plug note, I just would recommend you all watch Banshee, because I think it's one of the all-time greatest shows. It's super violent. It's just a very adult. The fighting is insane. And it just all takes place in this little town of Banshee, Pennsylvania. And there's just so much going on, and where he plays this sheriff he's not really the sheriff. He takes the guy's identity and becomes the sheriff of this town. And of course, he's not a cop. So the rest of the squad is like thinking he's always getting away with all this shit because he just does it his way. And it's an amazing show. So every time I get a chance to plug it, I'm like, yo, go watch Banshee. I believe it's all streaming on HBO Max because they have all the Cinemax rights. So definitely check that out for anybody out there. But him as Homelander, man, dude, Anthony Starr, dude, it is so amazing, like what he does with this character. Because you're right, like he's the biggest douchebag, the worst person in the world, but you cannot take your eyes off of him anytime he's on screen. It just blows my mind episode to episode that he just continues to top himself. Like, I love this character.
Yeah, and Rick, I want to throw it there to you because it seems like a lot of Homelander's motivation this season, and especially in this episode, it seems to be revolving around fathers and his need, the part of him that is a need to want to like be a part of a family. Because we know about his background where he was, Butcher says it at one point, he was kind of like made in a test tube in a way and didn't really have any. He has this whole fake persona that was made for the public, good old American boy, baseball and all this other stuff. But it's bullshit because the guy's a psychopath. But the whole thing with him seeking out, because the first scene of the episode is we see him find Ryan immediately. He gets Ryan back, and Ryan wants to go with him. He takes off with him, and then later in the episode, though, he is really infatuated with Soldier Boy because he's, he's on the impression that Soldier Boy is his father at this point, and he just yearns for family, even to the point where he goes ahead and when Noir comes back, the dude performs a Mortal Kombat fatality on him because he didn't tell him about Soldier Boy. So, your thoughts on Homelander and his whole father family thing throughout the season and this episode?
It's a cautionary tale. Recently, I was reading something on Facebook, and it was about one of my responses on it was about people watch like a Disney property and expect it to be made for adults. And it's not, they have to cut things out sometimes because it might be too scary. It might cross lines that we would all really enjoy. The Joker movie wasn't made for children. And The Boys is not made for children. But with that switch up, I feel like they kept a great cautionary tale for guys our age to guys to like 20 years old. And that is, you saw Homelander grow up without a father, and you see the vacuum that it creates. And then you get the juxtapose with Butcher growing up with his father, who was a POS, and you see the vacuum that creates. And then, we get to see, oh God, his name's escaping me.
Huey?
Huey.
Yeah.
We get to see him with his father.
Yeah.
And we get to see the relationship they have, the admiration between the two of them. You get to see there's less hate in his heart. There's less angst. There's, he just, we get to see what it's like for you to stay home and be dad and like guide a child, and build that bond with them. Obviously it's not fair. Like, not every guy that grew up without his dad is, would do things like that.
Yeah.
You're right. But I think that they just are taking the opportunity to give us like multiple examples. Mother's Milk being another one. A dad that's making mistakes, but he's trying to be the good dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a great tale, to give us, to give men a little bit of like, hey, this is what this thing looks like. These are the holes that it can create. I don't know. I got a lot of that this season from it.
Yeah, oddly enough, I feel like that was the underlining theme of the season, and concluding in the finale it was revolving around family, which on the surface, when you watch the show, when you got guys jumping into pee holes and exploding people and, the hero-gasm and everything else, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this is just show. This is a family show, actually. That's kind of what it's about. But I just kind of felt like that's what it was about. And when Homelander goes ahead and sees Soldier Boy, and then he is kind of like rolling out the red carpet for him. He's like, hey, this is my dad. This is what I've always wanted. And meanwhile, Soldier Boy's coming to kill him, but is also struggling with that decision the entire way as they're getting to Vought Tower, because Butcher's like, dude, we got a deal. We have a deal. We had the deal together. You're going to kill him. He's not really your son. He was in a test tube. It's not what you think. And then leading up to that, you see the two pretty much. Homelander's like, oh, dad. And then you got, oh, wait, is this my son or not? And then when they finally face off face to face, Homelander gets super desperate, brings Ryan out, and is like, look, your grandson. Here he is and stuff. Like, you try to melt your heart. And I also just wonder, was Homelander kind of scared of Soldier Boy also at that point, too? Because that's the first person that we know of that hurt him and went toe-to-toe and held his own with him. So he's had bruises and stuff, like Maeve alluded to in the last episode. You got some cover-up on and stuff. So, yeah, there was definitely a lot of that. And then Soldier Boy's total rejection of him and is like, man, if I would have raised you, you would have been such a disappointment. And really breaks him down right there. And then that ends up leading to like the big fight in Vought Tower, which, you had Soldier Boy versus Homelander. You had Homelander versus Maeve, which we finally got. Soldier Boy's fighting against Butcher, who's also fighting against Starlight. And then you get, Huey in the mix is trying to evacuate the entire Vought Tower because, we've all seen how much BVS got shit years ago about their collateral damage and everything. So, collateral damage is a thing in superhero stuff. But yeah, it was just really wild. And then you see Butcher looking at Ryan the same way, just kind of like somewhat of a father figure as well. And Soldier Boy throws it in his face like, wait a second, your wife, Homelander, banged your wife, and now you're watching for this kid? Like, what the fuck? So the family elements are just really twisted in this damn show, man. Like so twisted. Only the way they can do it. Don, go ahead. It seems like you got something there. Go.
Nothing special. Just it's twisted. It's all so twisted. Like every way that you kind of beeline each character to each other is just mad twisted. But that's what you expect. That's what sets this so far apart from anything the MCU's doing or DC's doing. Is just that it is this weird comic book land, but it's just so on the whole other end of the spectrum when it comes down to it, like what these characters are doing, what we see on screen every week. from every single episode, what they throw at us that we're just like, how are we watching this right now? It's insane, but that's why we love it. It's so unique and it's so special. Like, it's not your typical average of the run stuff, man. They show us the things that no one else could get away with, and that's why it's so amazing.
No, and
as before we leave, what you just brought up, when I was rewatching it, that was probably the biggest scene of the whole episode to me. When I first watch things, I look for Easter eggs and I just want to enjoy the story. When I rewatch it, I'm trying to figure out what they were trying to say, And when I was watching that scene the second time through, it was kind of hard to watch. Because if you think about it, it's kind of like every boy's worst nightmare to have to fight their father. Like, even if you could win, you can't really win. And so, that with the bruises, but then when he started talking about him being a failure, like, that's where he really hurts him, and he's kind of the only person in the whole world that can actually really hurt him like that. Yeah. Because he's constantly looking down on other people and everything's a lesser being than him. But his dad, his dad is not a lesser being. And I just thought that scene was, it was a really good scene. I thought it was really good. I feel like there was a bunch of things going on there that maybe on the first time through I didn't really pick up, but on the second time, like, got a couple things going on there.
Well, the other big thing that I saw that the showrunners were talking about was the big fake out they did. So those who are familiar with the Boys comics, that's pretty much where Maeve dies, essentially, where Homelander fucking kills her. And in this, it's more of like a hand-to-hand showdown, and he ends up like going almost wrestling style where he puts his thumb in her eye and it's like really looks like he's taking a lot of pleasure ripping her damn eye out. And it took him a lot to get there because she kept punching him and hitting him, and he's like, all right, get away, Maeve, not now, not now, not now. And she wasn't giving up, and that's when he fought back. And it was really a knock him out, drag him out fight right there that was there. But the big fake out being, most people who thought that he was gonna fucking just kill her right there. I think he just decapitates her in the comic. I understand, and that's that. But here it's like, no, she gets to hold her own. And then we see later on when Soldier Boy's about to go all nuclear, she kind of another fake out of a death, jumps out the window with him and tries to go ahead and looks like she's dead. And then we find out she survived, and the boys, went ahead and took her in as well. And it's hard before we like leave that whole thing. Huey also makes a couple of interesting choices in this scene, and also earlier. The choice he makes during the battle is, if you remember, his whole motivation to taking the V-24 was because he felt like nothing compared to Starlight. Like, he couldn't save her, he couldn't keep up with her. This put him on a physical, even playing field for that. And then we know going into this that if he takes it one more time, he's going to die. And in the beginning of the episode, Butcher goes at it, which Jason and I had talked about a couple of days ago, was he stops him, which I kind of saw coming, that he wasn't gonna let him go through with that, and he reminds him of how he looks. He reminds him of his brother, who we had flashbacks to. But then the V-24, he's got one more in it. He sees Starlight's in trouble with her fight with Soldier Boy. Instead, he chooses to not take the V-24 that he has and add more power to Starlight so she can draw more energy to take down Soldier Boy right there, which I thought was a pretty big choice for the character to make, considering where we started with him during the season.
Yeah, he did the right thing for once.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and because he was killing himself, and she was trying to warn him repeatedly about it, and he decided, all right, let's just go ahead and lean into her and let me help her and support her in this whole battle that's here. And then I guess the other things that we get to is that Homelander has another scene where he's with Deep and A-Train and Ashley, and he talks about how Noir, he pretty much just killed Noir, by the way, and puts his helmet down there, and talks about how he was told that the Seven were going to be a family to him, and he was let down by this family again. And he just like totally shits on them like he constantly does. And Ashley is, is like, oh, take off the wig, Ashley. We know this is bullshit. You've got some weird shit going. He kind of like undresses all of them one by one between Deep and A-Train and them. And it's just, and again, because he didn't get the family he wanted. So such an evil guy being that's all he wants. I thought that was a very interesting thing that kept on getting hammered home in this episode.
He keeps giving me major like Negan vibes on those scenes a lot of times.
Oh yeah?
When he's like singling his people out or talking to his people and he's got to talk down to them. I get major Negan vibes. Also, it didn't come up earlier. Is he got cotton in his mouth? Like, what's going on with that?
Who?
Homelander's lips.
I don't think so. Why? Were you thinking?
I mean, he looks like he's got like some Marlon Brando thing going on with his lower lip, like some Godfather thing going on. And like I thought that for like the last season, and I heard it mentioned earlier, and I just want to see if anybody else had picked up on this.
Don?
No.
I hope not. I mean,
Yeah.
Or is that what his face looks like?
I mean, Don, you've seen him more than actually we have.
For a couple of seasons. Is that
I mean,
he
he looks totally different in the show than like he normally does. Like, and especially like in Banshee, I mean, he's got brown hair. He's always got a beard. You know, like I mean, he looks totally different. So seeing him blonde and clean shaven was a shock when the show first started. So I mean, it is like I think he just has weird lips, and that's why he's always got the beard because it just takes away from how distinct his lips are. So you know, I don't know. I never thought about him chewing cotton or anything. Interesting note.
So before they leave the tower, though, I thought it's interesting too is that Ryan makes his own choice. If you remember back to the season 2 finale, when he walks past Homelander and leaves with Butcher, they kind of go off and that's it. They pretty much twisted it around this season where Ryan makes the choice to leave with Homelander and walk around Butcher because he kind of sees Homelander as more of his dad, at least at the moment. Because, I mean, the kid, you can imagine how fucked up this kid is at this point where, you know, he's been hidden from his father and he's seeing the shit he's seeing and, you know, killing his mother and everything like that. And I thought that was a pretty cool parallel from finale to finale, from season to season, that you kind of just flipped it around. And we'll get to where we see Homelander at the end of the episode in a second, which is every time I think the guy can't become more unhinged, they just keep on pushing him further and further. Yeah, they just find a way. But the fallout of all of this is pretty much the doc gives Butcher 12 to 18 months to live, right? So because of the effects of taking the V all the time and everything, the temporary V. So he's pretty much given that, and he cracks me up again as he's just like, you know, lights up a cigarette and is like, well, I guess if that's all I got, you can just fuck off then. And that's pretty much it, because you just told me I'm going to die, dude. Mother's milk comes clean to his daughter, pretty much saying, hey, this is the family business. This is what I do. You shouldn't be ashamed of it. Your grandfather wanted revenge on Soldier Boy, and this is kind of what I'm doing. So he's kind of got that done. Maeve survives, but powerless now, after the effects of what Soldier Boy went nuclear again and kind of depowered her. So she kind of gets to live off with one eye now, goes off with her girlfriend and is like just off into the sunset. And do you think that's the last we're going to see of Maeve?
I heard something with the producers and the writers that said like this was her exit from the show. Okay. But I think they chose not to kill her on purpose to always have that door open if they would like down the road. But it did sound like this was an official exit for now.
Yeah, for now. That's the key, Don. For now.
For now.
Just in case we need her in a couple of seasons.
We always got to leave the door open. Yeah.
Of course.
Exactly.
Well, we don't know how permanent the effects of his blast are. I mean, we all saw Magneto with that paper clip.
Please don't bring things like that up. I also was wondering.
The chess piece move.
That's it. Do you also think that maybe Homelander got weakened a little bit by the blast from Soldier Boy at Herogasm? Because they do show his nose bleeding a couple of times during the fight, and he is getting injured a bit more. I don't know. That guy, upon my rewatch earlier today, I was like, maybe that did happen. I don't know. Rick?
I think he
It's a
just
good
got
idea.
hurt.
The only
got hurt.
problem with it is the other two powered people were on 10th V, so their powers go away anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I meant like he took away Maeve's powers completely, and she was permanent V. And then I felt maybe some Homelander's that powered where he just, I don't know, got weakened a little bit. But
I think
I'm
it
just
was
throwing it
the
out
first
there.
time we ever saw Homelander actually in a fight.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know?
I mean,
think
I'm
that's
kind of
what it is he's running into, his equal.
evil. Yeah. Don, I'm
Even
probably
though he
more on
didn't
your
think he
side
had.
with this. I think he just finally met his match a little bit.
Yeah, I just think he just got his ass whooped a little bit. It actually showed. We're not used to that. This is the guy that's been invincible. So finally having somebody be almost as powered as him, and he made a dent, man. Anytime you see blood on Superman or anybody else, you're like, ooh, they did something, right? So I don't think he really depowered him. I think he just got to him,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's like how Arnold said, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
There you go.
Yeah, which they can never kill off Homelander until like the last episode in the show because I can't imagine what the show would be like. I mean, it would probably still be good, but
he's not the big bad of the show. He's like the captain of the show.
It's just wild. That's pretty much what happens, and then Ashley deletes the footage of Maeve being saved, and kind of so Vought can't go ahead and chase her, which I thought was an interesting choice too because she's obviously petrified of Homelander. But she kind of maybe is thinking, this guy is really over the edge. We need to do the right thing by Maeve and at least let her, move on.
Yeah.
Soldier Boy gets put back on ice, for until he's needed, of course, again.
Exactly. Till next time.
Yeah, that's going to happen again. The Deep gets outed by his girlfriend at the end because now she's doing a book. She wrote a book and has a book tour and stuff. And that dude is he's another one who's just such a piece of shit. It's amazing.
You know what, though? You were really hating on him last week's show, and this week he did do something for once.
No, well, Rick, I was just trying to say I just didn't want...
He must have heard your call out.
Don, my whole thing was I was just trying to make sure that the Deep wasn't going to be made a one-note joke as much as it's funny. Of, oh, yeah, you're the fish fucking guy, and that's about it. He just wanted to see him do something besides the fish fucking, so...
right.
Yeah, that's all I was asking.
Or octopus fucker.
Octopus fucker, yeah. He's fucking the wild of the sea at all times. It's crazy. But then Annie quits, throws away her Starlight uniform, joins the boys officially now, which is cool to see. So I'm curious to see where that goes next season. And then another big thing is earlier in the episode, Homelander goes and sends Deep on a mission, and he even says, dude, this is going to be treason, but he's going to do it. He goes and drowns the fucking VP, the guy, the senator that was running for a VP over there, and then Newman, who was the head of the agency that they had there to keep the superheroes in check, she's now a VP running with the president, and she's going to get, obviously, there's going to be a soup in office, and who the hell knows what that will lead to, going into next season. So that was a big thing, and it ends, I mean, the boys part at least ends with, Butcher seeing this and is like, that cunt's got to go down. And that's pretty much it. So where they're going to be back to their shenanigans again. But the episode ends with Homelander showing up to a rally, it's a pro-Homelander rally and stuff like that. And there's one person there who's a Starlight supporter. He comes down. Someone throws a cup at his son. He flips out and blows someone's fucking face off right there in front of an entire crowd. And there's this awkward pause. And then all of a sudden they start cheering for him. And he's like, it's like, okay, they love me. Yes. I can do, again, whatever the fuck I want. And again, he's more unhinged. He keeps just going further and further to not being stopped. And just not having anyone. I mean, Stan Edgar's somewhere to hopefully come back and try to get this guy back in check.
He's in Mandalore.
He's facing his crimes.
Trying to get that Darksaber back. That's
So, overall, I guess, Don, I mean, I know you had mentioned a little bit earlier. So, do you feel this is the strongest season of The Boys so far?
Man, that's so hard. Probably. I mean, but it's really hard to say just because this show, I feel, just continues to outdo itself. Each season has been phenomenal. So this one was just really unique. I felt like they just kind of pushed everything a little bit further. I liked seeing like the temp V and just kind of little things that they added. I thought Soldier Boy was an amazing addition. Like, I just felt like they kind of just took everything one more notch up this season. So I'd have to go back. Like I said, I really want to watch that finale again. But I think it probably is the strongest one out of all of them. I mean, each season has its big beats, but this one here was so solid. Like every single episode, there wasn't like a filler one in here.
Okay, Rick, what do you think?
I got to agree. I'm all over the place with that answer, but I think for me, all right. I love Sons of Anarchy. I don't think they made a bad season. I also hate ranking the seasons. And I feel like with the boys, like I hate ranking the seasons because I'd be Eddie, you know me, I'm a victim of the moment. Yeah. So like right now, I'm like, oh, third season's the greatest. And then, like, I'll start watching some from the first, and I'll switch up. So I hate ranking them. I'd like to say that they just keep leveling up. I don't know if that makes them better. But
are you a member of the Flash?
Consistent and keeps me coming back. And I think that, as you know, the urethra scene, it was very difficult for me.
It was difficult for a lot of people because, I mean, you're like, dude.
That was almost my Negan scene when Negan smashed heads and like 30% of the Walking Dead fans just walked away. Like that was almost my Negan scene. And luckily I stuck with it because I loved the way it opened and it was an amazing season. So I like this show so much I hate to rank them.
Yeah, I love all 3 seasons. Genuinely do. I agree they're super strong. You couldn't go wrong with saying any one of them was your favorite season. But I think there are certain aspects of this season where, and very much for the finale, is why I feel this is their strongest season. Because I feel like, as much as shock was there, and I'm not saying it was just shock before, it's just that the shock is kind of over in some ways of like bloody and gore and evil superhero, asshole superheroes and things like that. And I felt this season had the most heart to it out of all the seasons. The father-family tie, story, and with a lot of people between Huey discovering after his father's dead that he really revered him and he was just trying to be a dad to him and stuff like that, even though his heart was broken and going through the toughest time of his life. Homelander, who you should have zero sympathy for at any given point in time, even Rick was mentioning it, almost made you feel like you might have a little bit of sympathy for him, but then you're like, nah, he's a dick, so whatever. We're still not going to do that. The introduction of Soldier Boy, like Don, you brought up, was such a strong addition and payback in general. We got to see more about Noir and his whole thing, besides just being the quiet, silent guy that randomly appears and disappears that Homelander loves. I don't know. I think it is, but you're right. I might be a prisoner of the moment. Maybe it's because it's the season. Who the hell knows? But such a strong season. So if you haven't seen The Boys yet, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Definitely go back and go on Amazon Prime Video. Check that out and watch the shit out of that show because season 4 will be here before you know it. And the first 3 seasons are fantastic. And it's not a hard watch. It's only 8 episodes each season. So it keeps it moving. And they also drop the first 3 like the first night all the time. So, it's pretty easy to get through. All right. So let's go ahead and shift gears to the MCU. Totally shift tone. From the boys, the insanity that's going on there to the MCU's feel-good high school coming-of-age story of Ms.Marvel here. And speaking of coming-of-age story, Tim Sabala's here.
Kamala Sabala's husband.
Kamala Sabala. We can't hear you.
Hear me now? Hello, testing. Okay.
Yo.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
What's going down?
Same shit, brother. Same shit.
So, yeah, did you close? Did you have what the hell is it? Earmuffs while we were talking about The Boys? Tim is way behind.
I'm behind, but yeah, I didn't listen, so I'm good. I'm good to go.
Excellent. But we're
I'll get done sooner or later.
Yeah, I can't wait. Dude, it's so up your alley.
I have to finish before Andor drops, so that's the end of that. I won't watch it again because that's every time I go. Every time I go to watch it, something else pops up. Like, well, I got to watch that now. So
golden age of TV, man, or
yeah,
streaming or whatever. Yeah, so we're
Gift
totally shifting
and the
gears
curse.
to Ms.Marvel, and it's true actually because you can't just get. There's so much good stuff that you can't get to all of it.
So much.
But yeah, so we're shifting gears totally from the boys and exploding penises and everything to the feel-good coming of age story that is Ms.Marvel. I mean, Tim, you're the guy who's jumping in right now. What did you think of the finale? Your overall thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, it was decent. It was a good episode. Way better than the last one, that's for damn sure.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it very much. Again, it's really labeled like a kid show, I guess. You know, we watch it really because it's MCU and something's gonna pop up, which obviously it did at the end of something related to the actual MCU. But I mean, I definitely had to feel that it was for more teenagers and kids and stuff. But again, it was enjoyable. Like you said, it was a feel good little show. You rooted for Kamala and it was pretty cool. I liked it. I like how the whole family knows who she is and supports her, and I thought that was pretty cool. But no, I enjoyed it.
No more dumb family members that don't know the kid is sneaking out the window and fighting crime at night
and the fact that the mother got her the costume and everything, it's good.
And the father gives her a name.
Yeah, and the father gives that
I
was
love
cool.
that.
That was cool. Very, very cool.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
Oh. Rick, what were your thoughts on the finale? Because I know you just watched it earlier today, actually.
Right. And this is actually the first time I talk about this show like on air because I'm a firm believer if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Wow. So you didn't like the first 5 episodes?
But upon the finale, my view has changed on the show a lot. First and foremost, I want to give thanks and praise to Netflix for giving us the Daredevil series before Disney ever put their fingers on it. That's one thing is I love that the Punisher already exists. I love that the first couple of seasons of Daredevil already exist. And Mickey Mouse didn't make them, and they're the gritty versions because I think this is what the shows are going to look like this, like WandaVision, just a bit lighter. However, I really enjoyed the mood of this show. I just had to get over that, it was made for younger people. Like it's a younger demographic they were aiming at because they still made a quality product. Like it was watchable. The visuals were really nice. The colors were cool. The music was fun. I didn't know any of it. The little history they added in there I didn't know anything about that. It had a lot of elements. Even the character I don't know super well. For a guy that owns a couple thousand comic books, I never read one of hers. Mm-hmm. So this is all new to me. And I didn't love it the first couple of episodes, but as you saw with WandaVision, when they wrap up the story and I go back and watch it again, my opinion will change. And in this situation, it did. I really enjoyed it. I found it a lot of fun. I liked how street level it was. And I can suspend my belief. We're watching a superhero show.
Yeah. Don, what were your overall thoughts on the finale?
Finale was excellent. Really dug the show overall. I know it's funny because I think it's the most I guess from adult males, it's the one that gets knocked the most. But it's funny because it's the highest rated thing in the MCU from a Rotten Tomatoes perspective at 98%. So it's the highest rated thing that the MCU's done, which is really outstanding. The show definitely has its highs and lows. I hate this 6-episode bullshit. It just, episode 5 was junk. And then episode 6 just blazed to the ending. And then we were like, oh, okay, we're done. And there was definitely more growth that could have happened in this show if it would have breathed over a couple more episodes. Just go to 8. I don't know why 8 stopped kind of being a thing. And we're all trying to cram everything into 6 these days. But it was too much. It was way too much. Because, again, they're not even hour episodes. We're talking 35 minutes before credits, so that's pretty short, man, for only 6 episodes. But overall, I thought it was a pretty fun series. My daughter is 8, and she absolutely loves this show and wants to be, Miss Marvel for Halloween, and and
Nice.
is just super into it and really dug the finale last night, and especially the post-credit stinger that she went, I gotta wait a year to find out what happens next. Because she's also a big Captain Marvel fan, so seeing that kind of all come full circle was a big moment for her. But like, it definitely paid off though. The finale was awesome. I think overall the episodes all hit for me except for 5. Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I think people are expecting too much out of different shows. This was definitely more of like in the Spider-Man vibe. It was just a little bit more high school, laid back, funny. I love the way it was directed. I love the way that the choreography was. I love just the little nuances that they did of like the texting, and then it's up on the street lights, or it's in the street, like on the ground, like just little touches like that what made it very unique and stand out. Like the music as well too, and stuff like that just made it sound so different and look so different than anything else we had seen in the MCU. So and I got to give it to Aman Vellani, who plays Ms. Marvel, because she was just so good in this role for being a newcomer, first project in Hollywood, a big super fan herself. If you look back at her history, like she cosplayed as Ms. Marvel and always wanted to be this character, and for it to come full circle, she's a big MCU nerd. Like, I've seen her do quizzes and tests on the MCU, and she just kills it. And she's just so natural and just so charismatic in this role that you end up really pulling for her. And I think that's what makes the show, with the family aspects and everything else, that makes it really click.
Don,
I can't wait to see her and America on screen together. They can make that happen.
Yeah, her and America Chavez would be
Young Avengers
cool.
come.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, Don, you said pretty much took a lot of the words out of my mouth. That was well said. No, she is, as much as I enjoy the entire cast of the show, because I really do like everyone who's on it, she is essentially, to quote Reggie Jackson over there, like the straw that stirs the drink, right? Like, she's just brings it all to life. And yeah, it is astonishing that this is her first role, like her first Hollywood role there, and she just crushes it and owns every scene that she's in. And she's tremendous. And then seeing her on the late, Tim posted in the Granny's Peach Tea Facebook group, she was on Jimmy Fallon and stuff, and you just see like she pretty much is Kamala Khan in real life. Yeah. Like, how could you not cheer for her and stuff?
How can you not pull for her?
Yeah, no, and the way I described it recently was the visual aspect of it that you talked about, like the texting on the walls and stuff, is very much kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming vibe to it, coming of age story, meets like Scott Pilgrim versus the world, like just visually a little bit. Not exactly, it's not like ripping it off or anything. It's just, it kind of reminds you of that a little bit. And I think that works for what this is supposed to be. A Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan origin story, and her whole introduction. But the big things that we get to see in the finale itself, though, is Cameron's on the run from damage control, and he's with Bruno, and then Tim had mentioned Kamala goes ahead and tells her parents and her whole family. I think it's hilarious that they already know, and they're acting like, oh yes, oh my god, we never knew this. And it was like, nah, she went ahead and told everybody, and that's pretty much how it goes in here. So just keep it moving on. And her mom makes her costume, so she gets her, fairly comics accurate costume that's there. So it has a lot of meaning to it. But then they go ahead and Cameron and Bruno are on the run, and they go to hide in a mosque that's there. And I think that the disguise that they're given to get out of there was Tim. That was hilarious. They give them the baseball caps. I was like, that's the MCU disguise.
The MCU disguise, baseball caps. That's it.
That's it. No one can ever know who you are if you have a baseball cap on.
I didn't know. I didn't know the three of you who you were, because you all have caps on. I had no idea.
That's
we
why
look
we're
like us going to a baseball game.
I didn't know. That's why I saw your names at the bottom. I didn't know it was you guys, so I'm glad.
Exactly.
That's why I wear a cap on the show every week, so it can be a totally different personality. I thought that was actually really funny. But then Kamala goes ahead and gets Cameron smuggled out of the country, essentially. He gets away from damage control and essentially sending him with the Red Daggers, who are supposed to be like his mortal enemy. And so he gets out of town, by the end of the episode with that. But there's a whole thing in the high school where they go, that's where the big battle takes place, because it's pretty much a ruse and a high school kid's plan to go ahead and distract damage control, but it totally gets squashed pretty quickly. because it's a ridiculous plan, and I like the fact that holes were poked through it immediately.
Dude, Bruno got punched in the face.
Yes, but
I was like, holy, she just punched a kid in the face.
But Tim, how funny was that though? I've watched it twice and I've laughed out loud both times legitimately when he just starts playing the music and he's like, man, look, you want to see these moves? Come on, check me out. And then the guy just punches him in the face. Oh, it's like one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode. But Rick, what about the softballs? The softballs that were being used to distract them. What the hell was that?
I was like, that's gotta really hurt. If they had him charged up and they were actually hitting him, that's gotta really hurt. That was a nice little setup they had him going throughout the school, though.
Yeah, it was Home Alone-ish and everything like that.
Home Alone-ish.
Yeah, just going ahead. And it's again, just a distraction. It wasn't meant to literally actually stop them because you knew it wasn't going to happen. The government-trained agents, that's crap.
I gotta ask, though, because I'm curious for some opinions because I haven't had a chance to really talk about this show yet.
Go ahead.
But one thing that drove me nuts was damage control itself, right?
I was just gonna ask that.
Since when is damage control like Shield 2.0, right?
I was just gonna ask the same thing.
Thank you, because it drove me nuts because I'm like, damage control is just the company that cleans up the mess that the superheroes make. That's it. They don't have weapons. They're not trying to get enhanced. I mean, this wasn't like the Sokovia Accords division of damage control. Like, I just didn't understand what they were pushing for with this. Like, I like that it was damage control. I like that we were connecting pieces. It was the same guy from Spider-Man No Way Home. That there was some connections, but I was like, since when are they Shield? So that was driving me nuts. So I'm glad, Tim, we were on the same wavelength there. Like, because I'm just like, every episode, I'm like, what is going on with damage control?
Can I go into the realm on this a little bit?
Oh shit!
Here we go.
I think, welcome to the realm. So, I think that the damage control has to do with the big reveal at the end in the DNA thing.
Okay. To be honest, I didn't see that one coming, but
I think that now that we found out that Kamala Khan is the first mutant.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so how many? I got to ask you guys. Did you catch it immediately?
Immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Okay, all right, good. I just want to make sure maybe it went over someone's head quickly.
It's like a mutation.
To the Mutant Registration Act and all of that. I think it's going to graduate to something like that, which will graduate to Professor X taking these powered children.
Okay.
It was the pause.
That's just my
Bruno's pause
like,
gave it away.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that? The pause?
Bruno's pause. Maybe it's a mutation. Like that was for the kids who may not know. The rest of them was like, okay, we got it.
What are we supposed to be? Some kind of Suicide Squad?
Yeah, exactly. Every time I think of Peter Griffin going, he said it. He said it.
Well, I think back of what that was it? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the fucking gift that's
Leo.
Everywhere. Yep, that's it. He said the word. He did the thing. Rick, that's actually a pretty interesting thing. So I guess this is follow up Don's point, though. I guess damage control has, become a government agency that maybe part of them does clean up and does a sanitation thing, and the other part tracks down powered people.
It looks like.
Yeah,
possibly, but there's probably a certain way they need to go about it. That's why the guy from Spider-Man was like, yo, stand down. Like, we're not trying to do this all publicly. And then that chick was like, oh, hell no, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do.
She called in more people.
Yeah, she called in more. We need backup.
Yeah.
But I've heard that rumor, though, like that could spin off into its own kind of X-Men-y kind of thing, even like the drones, kind of early versions of Sentinels or something that they could kind of start down that path. So it could be, I could definitely see that lady obviously being burnt by being fired by the damage control. So she's going to start her own little ragtag group to find enhanced individuals.
And I thought I saw an article pop up. I think it was on Variety or it was Deadline Hollywood, that the creator in the comics of Kamala Khan came out and actually said in the comics she was originally supposed to be written in as a mutant. So Kevin Feige was just kind of like, all right, we're gonna go that route, and I'm sure it also doesn't hurt to pretend in mutants didn't, in humans didn't really happen. It's like, yeah, we fucked up. Sorry.
Right.
Well, pushing that to the side.
It looked just like the Terrigen Mist last.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say though. Every time they crystallized, and I'm like, I kept waiting for it to still be Inhuman.
That TV show, but
I did. I did see every episode, and it was a task. I'm telling you right now.
I saw the first two episodes. The first two episodes they played in IMAX, and I went to IMAX and watched.
I'm not the only asshole that did it. Yes,
I was there. I was like, this is gonna be great.
And we found that not so much.
It was what it was.
Hey, Black Bolt's part of the MCU, man.
Exactly.
They did acknowledge that it wasn't a mistake that they went and cast the same actor to come back and do it. So they're acknowledging it and not acknowledging it. Yeah. Lockjaw was pretty commanding.
Lockjaw's all I need.
Yeah. I wish we did get a little bit more. But so pretty much, throughout that happens, and then Kamala ends up fighting against Damage Control, and then she really does the thing. She goes out and powers up. She's got the big hands and the big fist extended, and she's kicking some ass over there. And I thought it was cool that she's kicking ass, but then checking on them afterwards. You guys all right? I didn't hurt you? Okay, all right, fine. As long as you stay back, then we're good. So I thought that was cool, and we've never seen any heroes really do anything like that. This one's a teenager. So I thought that was another pretty cool little tidbit right there. And then, Tim, I want to ask you, I thought of you right away, because during that scene, there's a police barricade, and there are people behind it watching it. Did it piss you off again, or did you be like, there's not 100 people over there, so it's the community?
Well,
so.
It was the community. It was the community defending their superhero.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't as bad. Plus, everything was taking place in a school. It wasn't like there was a fucking 300-foot sand monster, and people are like, I have to go down there and watch this. The Spider-Man shit was ridiculous. You know how I hate the barrier people, but no, it made more sense.
That's why when I see it, I think of you immediately.
Yeah, no, it made more sense because I said it was the community. Plus, the family knows Kamal, so they're definitely going to be down there. Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't as bad as fucking the 2 stole the 3 Spider-Man movie with the barriers. Never had the barriers. Any movie with a barrier is fucking stupid. So, but yeah, no, it didn't really bother me that much. But let me ask you a question though: if she's a mutant now, does the bangle bring her powers out and enhance them, or is it really just a fucking, nothing now? Does it really mean anything anymore? I don't know the character. That's why I'm asking.
Well, the whole thing with the bangle, the way Bruno explained it, and I think it's important with these things to follow the MCU version of it, because this is, the comics are the comics and the MCU is the MCU, so they're two different.
And she's totally different than the comics.
Totally different.
Completely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The way Bruno explains it is that's why the bangle reacts to you and not anyone else in your family. Is due to your genes being, mutated and stuff. So that's where the connection is. That's why, like, her grandmother didn't actually do that whole thing. Like her great grandmother obviously, reacted, but her grandmother, remember the story for a long time, was her grandmother followed the trail of stars and stuff like that, but really it was Kamala that was there for it. So that's why it didn't react when she had it and possessed it all those years. So that's at least my understanding of it, the way Bruno explained it right there.
Yeah, because her power, they're a little weird.
They are.
Like what her powers are exactly, we don't know. She just makes light things.
Yeah, but we also saw she can, like, essentially Hulk up and have huge hands and start beating the crap out of people and can get super strong. So I thought that was pretty useful. It's a little Green Lantern-y, but I'll let it go.
Very Green Lantern-y.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it. It was.
I'll accept it. I'll allow it. But the fallout here is, we see a whole TikTok thing where everyone is loving her and praising her and stuff, and even the popular girl in school has come around and helped them out, and it's like, she saved my life, and she's on like Team Kamala now, essentially, where they're cool now. And that scene where Kamala's looking at herself in the mirror in her bedroom, just looking super confident now, like, yeah, this is me. I'm a fucking hero now. Like I've done it. She's living her ultimate dream. Like that's just wild to think about. Like she's going to Avenger Con, and we all go to these cons and things like that. But it's like, dude, she becomes a fucking superhero. So she's like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then her and her dad talk outside in the house and explains to her that in a way her name, is Marvel. Essentially, means Marvel, like wonder, magical,
Wonder.
and
Yeah, Kamala
wonder.
means wonder.
And she's like, well, wait a second. I love the line where she's like, oh, wait a second. I share a name with Carol Danvers. And her father's like, I don't know who that is. But she's like blown away by it. And then she does the thing again where she goes and sits on the street light, the street lamp that's there facing New York City, which I thought was a really cool shot. You knew they were going to get in there. It was on the posters and everything else. So Bruno's going off to Caltech. The mosque is getting updated. All those things that they were keeping broken down for the women's area in the back are getting cleaned up. Cameron's with the red daggers. Yeah, and then we talked about Bruno dropping the X bomb essentially there, which I thought was really cool. But then the post-credit scene takes it to a whole nother level where she's laying in her room. Her bangle activates a different color, I kind of noticed. And she gets thrown into like a warp zone and spits out Carol Danvers, who's there, who's freaking out because she's looking around and all these posters of herself. Like, what the fuck is going on here? And that's where we leave off. And of course, Ms. Marvel will return in the Marvels next year, as Donna had pointed out. So we got to wait a little while to see.
I gotta wait a whole year.
A whole year.
A whole year, exactly.
All right, so Carol Danvers, though, she looked a little weird in the scene.
Looked a little weird.
She looked a little odd. I'm not all right. So I know online it's been a thing and stuff like that. Like Brie Larson is like a toothpick in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know because I had to go back and look up who that. I was like, I know the outfit. But
They recasted her for the same.
Yeah, I was like, she doesn't look like herself. Like, I was like,
No.
is this an alternate or no?
Well,
All right. I thought I was freaking out.
It was a couple different things because one, yes, like she's like super into fitness all of a sudden, and she has like she's shredded, like, but she's thin now, like she's super toothpick thin, but like with abs and like she's super cut. But so like that was the first thing that looked a lot different, right? Like she's so thin now. And then secondly was the outfit, because her Captain Marvel outfit was like almost like it was like a tracksuit, like it was just very like it was like yoga pants and like and then like a long sleeve kind of top that just happened to have the logo on it. So I don't know what that suit was. Maybe we'll get more answers, but hopefully she's got more suits in the upcoming movie, because I did not like this. This was very like I'm about to go to bed, but I still keep my using my jammy superhero outfit on. I sleep in. But I mean, it was cool as hell to see her, because you expected it. I mean, from day one, I was like, Captain Marvel's got to show up, right? Because there had to have been a connection, knowing this was going into that movie. Something would have had to tie it together, whether it was her or Monica Rambeau coming back and doing something. So had to be somebody. It was cool to see that it was Carol. An interesting thing now. So now I'm assuming that Ms. Marvel's in space somewhere and they totally just flipped spots, and she has to go, figure out like, how do I get back there? And why did the Bengal do that? I feel like there's some sort of 10 rings connection. I feel like there's something tying with the beacon that was in the 10 rings, because that was sending out a pulse symbol in that after credit scene that Captain Marvel was involved in, and that there's something pinging it, and maybe that they found out a way to, lock onto that ping and it flipped them spaces. I don't know. But it's very interesting, because I do feel like the technology, that Bengal really makes me feel like it has something to do with the 10 rings, that's going to all be connected at some point. A lot of big speculation. Just sucks a year though. Like that's a big gap to leave a thread dangling like this, of just like, oh, we'll pick this up in literally a full year, because that movie doesn't come out to July of 2023. So but very cool post credit.
No, it was really cool. And I kind of envisioned, I figured Carol was going to show up, and I had said last week that I thought it was going to be more, she was actually going to come face to face with Kamala, and Kamala was going to like lose her shit, and then it was going to go to black and end it. So not exactly the same. But yeah, I agree with you, Don. I do think there's some sort of a connection with the 10 rings and the beacon, and Captain Marvel being there. It can't be a coincidence that we're getting this. And we'll talk a little bit later after we talk about Thor, but the lack of connectivity has probably been some of the issue that some fans are having trouble with. So we may have started to see finally a little bit some connective tissue here for Phase 4 going on.
I mean, Feige said about a month ago, like, you guys will start seeing some of the bigger picture here soon. That some ties will be a little bit more noticeable. So I'm hoping that that's kind of what we're picking up on here, is that we're kind of starting to turn that corner.
And I Don, before I want to ask Tim a question too, but Don, do you also think, as we've speculated on this show, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about it with Tim and Rick already, though, we all on pretty much the train that we think this is all leading to Secret Wars eventually, and that'll be the next big Avengers Secret Wars 1 and 2, whatever the hell they'll call it. Are you also of that belief as well?
Oh yeah, totally.
Multiversal war, battle, insanity, yeah.
It's gotta be. I'm gonna be sad if it's not.
You're kind of hyping us up now. I mean, we kind of have to have it, right?
It's the hope.
Rick, I guess another thing is, so we talked about the X-Men being alluded to in this episode here. And then we saw it also, the X-Men music pop up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness too. So it almost feels like Kevin Feige is, essentially teasing us over here with the tip over here, like, hey, the X-Men. Do you think it means that they're coming sooner, or do you think they're fucking around with us?
I think whatever Deadpool's in first, there's going to be more X-Men in that.
Okay.
I think we might have to wait a little bit for this multiverse thing to really, Secret Wars thing. But yeah, I think that it's going to happen, and I just want to see the new Wolverine. That's
okay.
Just like everybody else, like, sure, fine. Like, I'm interested in the whole team. Like, come on, though. I'm from the 80s. Like, I love
Tim, what are your thoughts on any of the stuff on the bangle being connected maybe to the 10 rings, or you think we're getting X-Men?
That didn't even cross my mind, so thank you for putting that out there. I didn't even think of that. That's actually a pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I never even thought of it. I only saw Shang-Chi once. That's why I kind of, it's in the background. But no, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. I mean, while the post-credit scene was cool, you know me, I don't like Captain Marvel. I don't like Brie Larson. So I was like, all right. But like you said, she did look like she out of bed. Her hair was all disheveled too. Maybe those are her pajamas, Don. I think you're right. I think
pajamas.
I think she was sleeping in bed with her hair all disheveled, and she got zapped out of bed in her pajamas, and that was that. But yeah, I don't like the character, so I'm looking forward to the movie, but only because of Kamala now. But that's a great connection. I never even thought of that. And the whole X-Men thing is really what I'm more excited about than anything else. Because, like I said, there it is, the mutant. There it is. It's official. We now know that we know that there's a mutant in the MCU. I'm only curious to see how they're going to, like, is it like because of the snap, worlds collided, and because how was Wolverine? Because if the snap just started because of the mutation started just because of the snap. Wolverine.
I always felt like the snap could have been perfect. That the snap could have been a perfect explanation, right? Like, people got dusted, and when they came back, that somehow the genealogy got mixed up, and then there was mutations in people that came back from the snap and stuff like that. I mean, there's an easy way for them to kind of play it into it to kind of explain why it's never happened before. On our Earth.
That's what I'm most curious about. How they're going to pull that off. I mean, like I said, in Marvel we trust, so I have faith, but I'm just really curious, and I really want them to get to it. Like, there's a couple of projects I'm like, no, fuck that, skip that. Go to the X-Men. give me the X-Men stuff. I don't care about the rest of this crap right now.
Blade isn't one of those projects, though.
Hey,
no, I'm good for Blade.
I'm saying I think you're really jacked up for Blade, so
I like it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Blade.
Before we come off of this too much, I think the way she fell into the closet. It looked a lot like the way she fell into the negative zone in the first episode. And that's what I'm wondering, if they swapped spots. Like, Captain Marvel came back into regular world and she got sent to the negative zone. And I'm wondering if that's what happened when it first activated the first time, and we saw the people with the glowing eyes. I don't know. It just, with the way she somersaulted, it just looked like that.
I don't know though, because it did kind of like more of like a, I don't know, it was a weird kind of like thready kind of ball that
Yeah.
it just kind of like into. Whereas when she did the zone thing before, she just kind of went backwards and did this kind of full spin kind of circle. I don't know, man. I think something totally different happened, but there is a lot of talk about like the negative zone and about like the bangles that somebody else has that can activate and switch places with the person that there's so much to it that it's gonna be interesting to see. That's for damn sure. I think we're gonna be speculating for the next year.
Right.
Yeah,
what
because the
happened
thing is, it's supposed to be Kree technology, from what I understand. That there is something in the comics where there is swapping of places with different elements or different like weapons and stuff like that can happen. And we know that Captain Marvel has her connections to the Kree as well. So it seems like there could be something there with that. And Krees have a lot of things within humans and stuff like that. So the connections could be there. Yeah, before we know. But you're right. We're probably not going to know until 2023. So
hopefully Comic-Con and D23 will give us a little something.
Dude, I think Comic-Con in a couple of weeks they're going to drop the Phase 5 announcements. I think that's what we're getting. Because 4 is essentially there's one more movie in 4 and a TV show, and that's it. We got She-Hulk and we got Black Panther, and then that's a wrap. So they got to start announcing things. I think the Marvels is the only the Marvels and Blade are the only, and Fantastic Four, but like those are still, a times away. So there's nothing announced after that. And Ant-Man, but these are all within the next year or so.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think we're going to get some Phase 5 stuff going on in Comic-Con.
What If? There's got to be some major ripples from the second season of What If.
Yeah, that's also possible. All right, let's get on and move it on to our movie of the week, Thor: Love and Thunder. Who would have thought to be one of the most apparently divisive films in the MCU? I mean, let's jump into it. Tim and I saw it again on IMAX on Sunday with his son Jax. So the fact that we saw it again probably tells you a little bit of what we think of the movie. Rick, get us started with your overall thoughts of Love and Thunder.
I really enjoyed it. I watched the first showing, so I didn't have anybody else's input. So I was able to leave the theater with my own, 2 cents on it. It was a lot of fun. The music was good. The scenes were cool. It had a lot of my favorite people in it. It's a character-driven movie. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. So, I'm going to enjoy it. Were there holes? Yeah. Were there things they didn't do right? Yeah. But it gave me what I was there for.
Okay.
I know.
Now Helen's giving you what candy over there. All right. Don, for some who may have not tuned into Am I on the Air yet, and please do check out their his spoiler review as well. But now you're on. Give the Grannies group your overall thoughts.
I loved it. So yeah, definitely no divisiveness here. Thor is probably my favorite MCU character right now, and has been for a while. So this was my number one most anticipated movie of the year. I was waiting for this film. And yes, I've seen it twice now as well. Saw it in IMAX myself the first time, and then went again over the weekend and saw it the second time, took my daughter. And I love it, man. I love it. It's just what I think the thing is with this, and most of the people that are bitching are just saying like, oh, they try to be too funny. They try to be too silly. And I love that stuff. So, sue me. I want to laugh. My 2 favorite genres are comedies and action. And that's exactly what this is an action comedy. And that's the perfect mix for me. So I had great characters. I had laughs. I had great moments. I had heart. I had everything that they wanted to give it. When the story needed to be serious, it was serious. When it needed to be light, it was light. And it's just a fun ass adventure. And I really, really dug it. And I'll probably go see it a 3rd time this weekend. So I'm a big fan of this one.
Nice. Tim, your overall thoughts on the film?
Yep, same exact thing. Don, I said the same exact thing this week. I said Thor is my favorite MCU. I hated Thor the comics and the cartoon because he does,
Yeah.
me talk like this.
Yes.
I thought he was a stupid character. I love what the MCU's done with him, and he is one of my favorites. Yeah, I saw the first trailer. I knew exactly what this was going in. It was going to be Ragnarok on steroids, probably. They're gonna step it up the comedy. They're gonna step it up. The visual of Taika Waititi's a lunatic, and this shows how good he is at these movies. Yeah, is that exactly? It had a great villain. Who again, my only problem. We'll get to that when you talk about Gore, but I don't like villains that redeem themselves at the end. I like just villains, nasty villains. But in this story, it makes a little more sense on why he redeemed himself at the end. But Christian Bale was fantastic. I told Eddie too. I said he's creepy as shit in this movie, and that's a good thing. Yeah, and like you said, the comedy was there. It was a good way for Jane's story to end, supposedly. Um, no, I loved it. I loved the comedy. I loved all that stuff.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed the film. I thought it was, like you guys have said, it was a blast. I was smiling the whole time. You kind of knew what you were getting. If you're someone who didn't like Thor Ragnarok, then I can see, yes, Bear, we're talking to you. You're not going to like this. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was a lot of fun. It was kick-ass action when it needed to be. I love Christian Bale. He's already my favorite actor. So seeing him as the villain was fantastic again. I thought the Thor-Jane relationship was the strongest it's ever been by far. And I thought they did a great way to redeem that. And like Tim had said, to kind of give her character, bring her back and give her a nice way to wrap her up, because she's kind of been settled off screen up until now. She's been written out of for a few movies, not counting the little blip in Endgame that we saw her in the past and everything like that. That doesn't really count. But she's kind of been written away off screen. They broke up and moved on, and that's it. But it was great to see them together again. And I think maybe the only slight drawback that I would say, but it wasn't totally unexpected, is the Guardians needed to be in this film for the sake of the overall MCU. But for this story, no, not really. But you have to address what happened. They did go off after Endgame.
Right.
You had to do it. So they were there for what they needed to be, and that's fine. But I know there were some people crying about, the Guardians got, pushed to the side. They were there what they were supposed to be, and that's it. The relationship soured. They moved on and went their separate ways, and that's about it. Because you can kind of tell Thor looked like he was done with them. They were done with him. That breakup needed to happen. So
yeah,
Thor wasn't done. Thor wasn't done with them. So?
I thought he was being sarcastic with them. Like,
no, he was sad. He was so sad when Star-Lord was like, "Let's go our separate ways." He was like, he was bummed, man, because that was the whole thing. He didn't want to be alone. He was trying to keep himself busy. He was trying to keep himself with people. I know, but with the team, and then it was till Star-Lord gave him that whole speech about you need to find your way and stuff like that. So. Yeah, I mean, that was one of my only gripes, like on my spoiler review when we talk about our things we didn't like. I only had two little nitpicks, and one was the Guardians, like just because I'm a big Guardians fan. And I already knew they weren't going to be in this movie much, right? My whole assumption all along was it's going to be the beginning of the movie, and we're going to kind of go our own separate ways. It still felt underplayed, like because like they're in that opening scene and they can't even handle that fight. Like, and it's like, oh, we got to get Thor. And then Thor does the whole fight by himself. And then they're just like, cool. And then we're like, oh, there's distress signals. Let's split up. And you take that side, I'll take that side. And I was kind of hoping they'd come back at the end and kind of help out, and come kind of full circle. And it could have been a nice little like, hey, thanks for the save. And we'll see you down the road kind of thing. Unfortunately, they didn't go that way. I did read a thing with Taika where that was talked about at one point. And then they said, oh, well, a lot of movies do that. So we wanted to do something different. And just have it be Thor and Jane at the end, but I would have taken more. It would have been just nice. Not that it was needed or we needed much more, but it was too much of a tease. They got everybody there, and they just didn't really quite do anything other than a couple quick chuckles. And then my second thing was just Sif. Man, I was so happy to get Lady Sif back, and same thing, kind of in two scenes, and doesn't really do anything. Got her arm cut off. Her arm's in Valhalla, and but she is not. So I was really stoked when I heard she was going to be back in this, because she's also missed the last several films. So I was like, cool, Sif's back. And again. It would have been nice to at least maybe seen that fight with Gore and see her get her arm cut off and all that kind of stuff. It would have been a little bit more for her character, maybe, if we got to actually see that fight before the distress signal. But those were the only two big things that really kind of stood out for me that I was a little bummed about, after I saw it, that kind of stood out.
Okay. Yeah, no Asgardians of the Galaxy. Maybe we thought we were going to get down the line there. So, yeah, I guess you started off, so I guess we'll keep going. A nitpick that I would have also is just the idea at the end. Like, as much as I like the fight with the kids and they all got the power of Thor and they got to kick ass, like, I like what it resulted in. But when the hell is Thor giving his powers to people temporarily like this? When is that a thing? I was like, you kind of just could have touched on it at some point previously, but it kind of just happens out of nowhere. And as Jason would say, hand wave, okay, don't worry about it. We need to get to a cool scene, so let's just get there and whatever, it happens. But I don't know. Very, very small little things there. Otherwise, I enjoyed the shit out of everything.
It was a badass teddy bear, though.
Yes. Well, yeah, there was. It's true. That is true. I guess let's start off like we typically do. We'll go by character. So some of the criticism that Taika Waititi gets is that he supposedly makes Thor dumb. Like I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get that feeling that Thor was dumb necessarily in Ragnarok or in Love and Thunder. I think they've made him more comedic, but I also think that the guy's dealt with so much shit recently and a lot of loss. Like, dude, this is like Spider-Man level loss at this point because like Marvel loves fucking with Peter Parker in every way possible. Now it's like, all right, let's fuck with Thor and put him through the ringer. And that's what it is. And I kind of feel like it's one of those things like, unless if you don't smile, you're going to cry. So that's how much pain that the guy is in at times. And when he needs to know, especially in Love and Thunder, when he needs to get down and know what's what, he knows it. It's not like he doesn't know what the hell's going on. He tells Zeus off, like, really, you've lost your way and all this other stuff. So I thought that was cool. And I don't know. I think they have a good balance of him being a kick-ass, badass dude and also, like, fun-loving. Rick, what are your thoughts on Thor in Love and Thunder?
I love him. I mean, he's a bit silly, yeah, but he's also, like, by far the most tragic figure in the whole Marvel universe. Like, he's more tragic than Spider-Man only because his family was larger. It's a great character. It's a tragic character. I think he's funny, but I think we always catch him in the middle of ups and downs. Captain America was always out there like fighting for something. I feel like Thor is such a good fighter that he's caught up in all his free time. You know what I'm saying? Like when we see him fight, his fights are short. He doesn't have to plan too much out, so he has more time to contemplate and brood on all the terrible shit he's gone through. And it's like, if anything, if you're not going to cry about it, you got to laugh about it. Like his character makes a lot of sense to me. He is a badass though. He is like my favorite Marvel character, and I don't think it's being a victim of the moment because he's always been since his first movie. So. I think his series has taken more chances than any other series, though. Okay. I think they've really jumped around more and taken more chances. And other than the second movie, they've all paid off.
That's true. Tim, do you think Thor was maybe overpowered in this movie? That they made him too strong? Because to follow what Don was saying, like, the Guardians are there, they're struggling with these guys, and he's just like, oh, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go ahead and just...
This ends here and now.
Yeah. I don't think they made him too powerful. I don't think they made him too powerful. I think he made the Guardians look kind of weak, though.
Okay.
I really don't think it was... Because, remember, Stormbreaker, I think, is way more powerful than Mjolnir is. So I think it just enhances him, and, got the lightning. He's... no, I don't really think it's over. Although, like you said, giving the powers to the kids is a little... Superman throwing the S kind of thing. It's like, really? You have that now? It's like all right. Like, I get it, that it's a weird power to have, but it works for the movie, I thought.
It's the power of convenience.
Yeah, because what are all these kids going to do? Just stand there and cry? No,
right.
We had 15 minutes of them crying already. We're done with that. So well, let's do
Team
something
Kids
fun.
in a Cage.
Yeah,
Team
Team Kids in the Cage. Let's do something fun with these kids, and I thought it was absolutely fine. And yeah, I'm still a big fan of him. I don't no, he is my favorite MCU character right now because like Rick said, I think he's had the most tragedy. I think he has to be comedic at this point. Who do we have that's technically comedic in the MCU? I mean, Iron Man
Ant-Man.
was a wise ass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
You know, he wasn't really funny. He was just a wise ass who actually came off funny. Yeah, Ant-Man's a little silly, but you know,
Yeah.
Ant-Man we get every 5 years. So it's like
Yeah, we don't get Ant-Man a lot.
Yeah, we don't get Ant-Man a lot. So Thor has to be and I think it's funny given the most comedic stuff to the most powerful guy in the MCU. It gives a lot of, because again, do you want to see me come here to drink beer? No, I don't want to see that bullshit. I'd like to see a cool Thor, like a funny Thor. So I like them in this one too. I like where he's going too.
Yeah, no, I very much do, especially considering it's his daughter that's playing it. So Chris Hemsworth himself must be like in his glory that he gets to go ahead and do his franchise now with his daughter as his co-star. Yeah, that's got to be awesome.
And speaking of the whole kids thing, like blessing the kids with his powers and stuff too, what was crazy is that he actually did that with the lightning bolt from Zeus. So that's what I really found to be odd in that scene, because it wasn't like he had Mjolnir and he was kind of, blessing everybody with the powers of the hammer or anything. Like, he was giving them Zeus powers. Like, why would he be in control of giving the kids Zeus powers? Because remember when they were jumping and doing stuff, they had the yellow electricity, right? It wasn't his blue. So like that's what I just found more funnier, was that he was actually doing it with Zeus's stuff.
Maybe
I did like that it was.
So maybe he just needs a conduit of some kind, any kind,
right,
any magic,
exactly.
any magical conduit will do.
He's got the Odin son speak now, I guess. He could just bless things, right? Because he did bless the hammer to take care of Jane and stuff. So obviously that's something they were kind of alluding to. But it's just a fun scene. I try not to overthink it. Like, again, my daughter's 8. When I took her to see it, that whole ending scene is her favorite part of the whole movie. Seeing those kids wreck shop, and she's always got a stuffed animal. So when the little girl pulls up the bunny and is like, with the bunny just shooting electricity everywhere, she connected with it, right? Like, so they know what they're doing, and it was it's fun, but it does make you always go back and be like, well, if he could have done that, why didn't he give all the non-powered people in the Avengers, like Hawkeye and Black Widow and everybody else, powers of Thor to go kick
that was my thought, dude. Like, could you have done this in the battle against Thanos? Maybe
you can only do it with Asgardians.
Wait, I was gonna say those kids are Asgardian, and he is his father's son. Like, he is the king, I guess. Well, he's not the king by name, but
no, he gave the title up.
Yeah,
apparently, maybe he just didn't really want to go to board meetings and shit like that.
See, I like it. Only Asgardian kids. There you go. You just explained it right there.
Yep.
That's it.
Explain it away. Again, it's not ruining anything. It was just something I thought was just a little odd. That's all. just a little nitpick. So I guess let's talk about the other Thor. Let's talk about Jane Foster, the mighty Thor, and it.
Jane Fonda.
Jane
Fonda.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster. Weird seeing your ex-hammer with your ex-girl.
Tim, I love Natalie Portman in this movie. I think she's solid in what she's been given to do in the MCU so far. But in this, she shines like tremendously. She has a tragic arc to follow, because obviously we meet her and she immediately gets the diagnosis of the stage 4 cancer. So she's dealing with that. We find out later that I did think it was important for them to kind of like go back and show the relationship with Jane and Thor to reestablish that, so you can kind of feel more for that. Because I think they were kind of acknowledging, like, if we don't do this, then them just jump. None of this doesn't hold as much weight as it did before. But what did you think of Jane Foster's Mighty Thor in this?
Yeah, I first of all, I thought she was. First of all, I don't know if you guys know that Taika Waititi asked her to be in his Star Wars movie, not remembering that she was in 3 of them already. I cracked up at that story. That just made me laugh. But no, I loved her in this movie because, first of all, she was more loose, more funny, even though she got a serious problem, dying of stage 4 cancer, she was still a little more loosey-goosey as far as the character goes, which I really liked. As far as the Mighty Thor itself, she was great. She was hilarious. First of all, she was funny. I thought the whole catchphrase thing was great.
Mhm.
How she couldn't come up with a good one. She kicked major ass, so
Yeah.
that was good. She looked good doing it too.
Yeah.
But again, no qualms about it whatsoever. I really like the character. And I liked her ending. I like how it went. I like how she decided, you know what, I'd rather go help Thor than sit here and die of cancer. So she went out and she was the hero. So no, I got no problem whatsoever with this character. I really, really like Natalie Portman.
Well, I know you're going to have a soft spot for Natalie Portman, regardless. Of course. I really loved her throwing Mjolnir and it breaking apart and not like kicking ass on its own and reforming. That was fucking dope, man. I was into that.
Cool.
Rick, what did you think of Mighty Thor?
Great introduction on that too. That was such a good on-screen introduction when she showed up like that and just grabs the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Looked great in the suit. She was jacked.
Yeah, no, she was.
Yeah, character was funny. I've loved her since the first movie though too. I have a soft spot for her too. So I wish that we had more of her in the MCU. But no, great reintroduction. It's sad, with the way she went out. But what was in the cards was in the cards. It doesn't mean forever because it's the MCU and nobody dies. So, but no, great character. I think they used her great. I wish we had more of her. That's my only want from the character is I wish there would have been more of her, like doing something somewhere at this point.
Don, I want to see if you agree. When your thoughts of Jane Foster's Mighty Thor is, she's in Valhalla now. Yes, she dies at the end of the film. I kind of hope though that, not because I don't like the character, I kind of hope she stays there though. I think it was a nice ending for her character, and Thor can go on and do his thing.
And I have a feeling too, because they actually had Heimdall like reiterate, like, "Well, you're dead." Like, like he literally says it, like, so when she gets there, like, "Oh, I see you're dead." So I felt like that was kind of like the to the audience of like, yes, this is where she's at. Like, this isn't like she came back somewhere else and can return down the line. She's dead, and she was a brave warrior that died in battle, and she went to Valhalla. And I think that that's a one and done. I think that she was kind of done with the whole MCU and kind of over it. And I think this was an opportunity for her to come back and work with Taika. He went to her personally and was like, "Hey, I got this idea. I'm going to bring you back. You're going to get to do this really cool one-time kind of spin as the Mighty Thor. How's that sound?" She's like, "Cool." Like, but it's a one and done kind of thing. Sign me up, right? She probably was like, "I don't want to sign on for 5 more roles and TV shows and all this other stuff," right? So I think that was how he got her, was just kind of being like, "We're going to do this one nice film together. We're going to have fun, and I'll take you out at the end." And that was kind of where they went with it. But I was very happy to see her back too. I enjoyed her in the other movies. I always liked their relationship, and I hated that it kind of was just blown off screen. That it was just kind of mentioned in Ragnarok, like, "Oh yeah, we broke up," like, and it was like, what? Like, why? Like, that was such a big deal. Like, why did they just break up? So I really appreciated that the film even took a couple minutes to show us their relationship, to really take us back and show them dating and show them going out to eat and watching TV on the couch and doing Halloween and just seeing their relationship evolve and how he had to keep taking off and then she kept taking off and how that built to them breaking up, and so it was like, getting that insight to their relationship was great. So yeah, I love Natalie Portman. I thought she was fantastic in this, and it was cool. I wouldn't have minded seeing her down the road, kind of being the new Avenger and kind of helping them kick ass, but it was a great addition to this one, and I'm just glad that it kind of could shut up a lot of the crybabies that were out there that were like, they're just going to try to pass the torch to her and they're going to throw Thor to the wayside and the MCU and all this stuff, like moving on to the girls, right? And it was like, no, this isn't a passing of the torch thing. Like, this was just a story about love, and it was a really cool kind of full circle for their characters.
Yeah, I fully agree. Yeah, because there was a portion of people out there crying that, oh no, they're gonna get Hemsworth's done. That's it, passing on the torch. It's like,
kill him off.
If you actually watch the film, it's like not even close. She's clearly a supporting character.
And Natalie Portman's not signing up for 3 or 4 films. So I don't anyone who thought that's an idiot anyway.
Yeah, didn't put a lot of thought into that one before you spit that out of your mouth. I guess let's get on to the villain before we get some of the supporting characters though. Of Gore the God Butcher, of Christian Bale. super creepy, fucking just brings it as always. He never just doesn't just bring it all the way. But Tim, one thing I was thinking is, as much as I enjoyed everything we got from Gore in this, like you were saying, super creepy, especially when he's smiling with the kids, like we had talked about.
My favorite scene, yeah.
You kind of feel like we needed more. I wanted more Gore. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought he was a little underserved.
Well, like Don said, too, I would have liked to have seen him killing some more of these gods, showing the power of the Necrosword. Even the one, like you said, with Sif on that planet, he killed that big, huge god thing. I want to see how he did that.
Yes.
I don't want you to skip that. So no, I absolutely agree with you. I wanted more. Christian Bale especially is someone who you want to see more of the guy. Yeah. I mean, even the beginning when he's begging to the god and all that stuff. That's not just like any actor coming in here and throwing a couple lines out. This dude puts everything he's got into this. You believe I thought I was watching some kind of Bible show on fucking A&E or something with him doing that in the beginning. Fantastic. He was so good in it. Yeah, and I said my favorite part is when he first appears to the kids laughing and he has that smile on his face. I said that's tattoo worthy right there. That fucking that face right there is fantastic. Again, I'm not big on villains redeeming themselves, but in this case, I thought it made a lot of sense at the end. He's like, "Holy shit, you're right. I can bring my kid back. I have eternity here. I can make any wish I want in the entire Galaxy universe. I can bring her back, but I just don't want her to be alone." And I thought that made a lot of sense. So no, I love Christian Bale in this too. Again, we didn't get to see it. I can't say I love Gore too much. We didn't see enough of him. But exactly. Christian Bale as Gore, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and dropping on Alex's comment here, yeah, Gore was a very scary villain, and he was very eerie whenever he was on screen there. And I thought there was another great quote that Alex was dropping in here from Thor to Gore was, "I'll call the hammer when you call the dentist." I think it was like, "I'll call the axe."
Call the axe.
Call the axe. It's just like call the axe.
Call the axe.
And not to get like all philosophical and shit too, but it's one of those secret messages of people begging God for everything, or a God or their God, and God doesn't show up. So what do? How many times does God show up in your daily activities when you're asking for something? He don't. They don't. No. And this guy took that to a whole nother level. Like, well, if you're not going to show up, I'm going to fucking kill all you. So I think really like a kind of a deep thing to be thinking about. So I really liked it.
Yeah. I guess, Rick, one thing I think that I've seen that's been thrown out there, and get your thoughts on this, is some people have questioned, like, oh, Gore just kind of changes his mind at the end at the last second, like, oh, wait a second, I want all the gods dead, but no, I'm going to just have my daughter come back. You kind of think that maybe his opinion on gods changed as he witnessed what Thor was doing as a god and showed him, like, oh, wait a second, these guys aren't all selfish pricks that want you to, like, pray to them and give everything up for them, that there are some of them that maybe they're not so bad. They are in love. They'll sacrifice themselves. They'll do all these things. I kind of think that played into his motivation at the end of changing his whole thing at the last second. And he also saw someone who was like, I can bring my daughter back, and then this guy I can trust him to do the right thing.
I think that was his mission all along.
So bring his daughter back? He wasn't going to kill all the gods?
I think that he was on a mission of vengeance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, he felt the false prophet. It's basically they're false prophets.
Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of scenes that were removed, like him removing the religious tattoos when he was all scarred up at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. We never got to see that. I feel like there was a lot left on the cutting room floor. This movie was too short. And I feel like those religious elements were walked over. And I feel like those religious elements would have gave Christian Bale the opportunity to have his own joke, like Joker in Dark Knight villain, Okay. I felt like his character was very like Cheshire Cat when he was in the spaceship. Like the way he was just kind of in and out of it when they were fighting and on Earth, he was just kind of in the background. Like I loved the spookiness of his character, and I really enjoyed the way he looked and the way that Bale played him. But I feel like
It was more
We
there.
needed more. We needed to allow him to like explore the character and really get in, really get in our heads. I wanted to leave that movie scared of gore. However, his decision at the end, like he's just a driven man, and I feel like he had a mission to keep his family alive, and then he had a mission to avenge their deaths, and then he had an opportunity to get his family alive again, or at the very least his daughter. So I don't even feel like it was a face turn. I feel like he was just a soldier with a mission. I just finished funny enough, I just finished watching the Terminal List, and I felt like, hey, this character's on the same he's on the same mission that Gore was on. So I think that he was an incidental soldier, and he just put himself on a mission for vengeance. And then I think he had an opportunity to make I don't think he had an opportunity to make amends. I think he had an opportunity to bring his daughter back. I don't think it was a face turn. I think that he was just always a soldier on a mission.
Okay, that's fair enough. Then I guess we got the other supporting characters there. Don, what were your thoughts on Valkyrie? Because there's some people saying she got pushed to the side a little bit.
Well, before we get to Valkyrie, let me speak on Gore.
Oh, sorry. I thought we had so, my bad. My
bad. Because I do want to touch upon kind of what we're talking about, because I do feel like he kind of did a face turn at the end there, and that was because the sword got destroyed. Because the whole thing is that, it was the sword that was really manipulating him and turning him into the evil bastard that he was, right? Like, he had vengeance. He wanted to get, he wanted to go after those gods, but it was really the sword that was whispering in his ear, like, to do this, get him, and once that sword was destroyed, he was able to kind of come down and start to kind of, what have I done? Kind of almost starting to think about his actions. It was when, I still think he was ready to wish all the gods are going to die, like, plain and simple. And it was when Thor said, like, you can choose that, but I'm going to go spend my last, couple minutes with the woman that I love. And if his daughter's name truly was Love, like, that was that connection again of, like, when he said, like, I'm going to go be with the girl I love. And then he heard that. And then he was like, oh, I could bring her back. And then he's like, but I don't want her to be alone. And Jane, in her dying, breath, is like, she won't be alone. And she looks at Thor and he nods and says, like, yes, I'll watch her, and that it was what made him make that decision and feel kind of comfortable with choosing to bring back the daughter instead of just saying, kill all the gods, right? Because he didn't have that, the sword kind of pushing him over the edge anymore. So I thought that was what was really interesting there. But yeah, I think there's a ton left on the cutting room floor. If you've heard any of the stories, like, this movie was like 4 hours long, like the original cut, and literally he chopped half of it out. And it sucks because he's already shot down. Like, there won't be no YTT cut of this movie. And I would love to see it, because I've seen Natalie Portman, I've seen Chris Hemsworth, I've seen all of them say there's so many additional scenes, characters, great moments, planets, all kinds of stuff that was cut out of this movie that I'm just like, man, like there's so much we didn't get that they had shot. So I know that there's a ton more of Christian Bale and Gore that got left out, which would have been really cool to see, because he was a really cool villain, but we didn't get a lot with it. It would have been great in the beginning to see him going around and killing all these gods, and then really then going back to the guardianship and being like all the distress signals of just like all these gods are dropping and everything's going on, after we've already seen him bouncing around just murdering people. All right. So that would have been cool as hell. So that would have been awesome. Switching gears to Valkyrie, always great to see Valkyrie. Love Tessa Thompson. Again, wish there was a little bit more. Wish she could have done a little bit more. I also think she has scenes that were left on the cutting room floor that we didn't get. There's even just different things that you see in the trailer that was not in the movie that she does, But when she's on screen, she's captivating. She's an awesome character. She's great as a leader. She's great as a friend. I love her dynamic with Thor. I love the relationship she bonded really quick with Jane. So yeah, she's always awesome, and I can't wait. There's a rumor that she's in Black Panther 2 as well, too. So that'd be kind of interesting to see her pop up again if that's the case. With Asgard being on Earth and Wakanda around, maybe that is the case. So that'd be pretty awesome. So great. Always great to see that character.
Team Jane.
Yeah, exactly. We know what team we're on. Team
Yes. Yeah, no, Valkyrie was great, and I think they gave her a certain amount because again, you got so many characters you have to serve, so you can't just keep on going through it. But I also think that Korg was like he was listen. The guy's funny. Like Tim, I wanted to ask you about Korg. Your thoughts on him? We'll bounce around for the supporting characters. He was hilarious again. It's Taika Waititi. I know you're a big fan of his now, so
Yeah, I love what we do in the shadows. I love that Wellington. He has Wellington Paranormal, which a lot of people don't know about. All these wacky shows. I'm a huge fan of his now. Yeah, Cord. I love Cord. How can you not like Cord? If you don't like Cord, then just even just the way you cannot not talk like him after you watch the movie. You can't not do it. It's just the way it's.
The hammer pulled you off.
Yeah, all the time. Every time I see Jodie Foster, I'm Jodie Foster. That's all I'm gonna say from now on. Every time I see her. No, I think he's a great. I think Jane Fonda. I love it. I don't know. I think it's a great character. I hope a lot of people don't go crazy that he's that he mates with men, because we know someone who will go crazy over that fact.
Yes, I'll never see this. Don't worry about it.
Okay, sure. But the fact that you remember he's a goddamn rock monster,
they pretty much don't have a sex.
He's not really male or female. He's a rock monster, for Christ's sake. And let it go, man. But no,
we met another guy named Dwayne.
Yeah, that was
Dwayne the Rock.
Dwayne the Rock.
That was hilarious.
With he had that little mustache. Yeah. No, I hope Corey can get some kind of Disney half hour storytelling, like storytelling. No, imagine Cord storytelling, and he tells little stories about each Marvel character, like he did. That would be a great show. I'd watch every one of those.
He'd be excellent for a Christmas special or a Halloween special.
That'd be great.
What about a Disney Plus show of telling the recap of old stories with him and Luis?
Yeah.
How great would that be if those two recapping it?
Two great storytellers.
Oh yeah, great. that would be phenomenal. And I hear that you have a soft spot for the goats.
I love the goats, man. I didn't know how I'd feel about the goats, man. When the character posters came out and they actually got their own poster, I was like, why do these goats have a poster? This doesn't make any sense. And at first I was like, okay, it's funny. I don't know if this will get played out by later in the film, but it honestly was funny every time that damn sound came out, especially when they ran into the planet and it was just silent for and it was just silent for a moment, and then it's all like I was like, oh my god, dude, it was so good. Like, so yeah, it was pretty hilarious, man. God love the goats.
They were super useful too.
Oh, yeah. Of course. I mean, a lot of it doesn't happen without them.
Yeah, when they presented him the gift, he was like, "Oh shit, let's go!"
Yeah.
All right. I could use these guys. And Korg,
he was pumped on that one.
And the king was like, "Take the goats, take the goats. You're taking the goats.
Take the goats."
You accepted them, and he was like.
Like he kept going, like harping on it. You're taking them, right? Like, yeah, you accepted it. Take the goats.
Yeah, no givebacks. No givebacks.
Rick, there's another thing. There's a big love triangle in this film between Thor, Mjolnir, and Stormbreaker that I did not get tired of at all. I know some people did. I really exactly. It was just like just coming to the side of the screen out of nowhere. I thought it was hilarious the entire time.
No, it was excellent. It just kept making me think of the meme of the guy walking with the girl, and then you just interchange the names.
Exactly.
There you go. I loved it. I love that they're their own characters. Somehow they're sentient characters in their own way. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it adds a lot to it. I'd be really interested to see what Love is capable with. Like basically having access to the Bifrost.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't know, it's super open-ended. We don't even know where her powers are anyway.
Not a damn clue, honestly.
Like she's literally like part of eternity. So it'll I don't know. It's got a bright future. It's one movie, but I think it's got a bright future on it. And I think I don't know.
I'm dying to see where it goes. I can imagine Taika's going to come back and do another one because apparently, from what I'm seeing, he'll do it if Hemsworth does it. I know they threw out the crazy idea because I think he just likes fucking with people. Oh yeah, $5 million movie and it's just them on a road trip. No, I think they'll come up with something cool and I'll do at least one more.
Well, with Disney Plus, you can do something like that.
That's true, actually, you could. But before, if they're going to do anything like that, they better give us Cap returning the fucking stones before anything happens. That needs to be its own Disney Plus. Even just make it a one shot. I don't care. I would even be good with that.
I know Don hates 6, but 6 stones, 6 episodes. That's all you need.
That's a 6 I can understand right there.
And I guess let's talk about the post-credit scene. I mean, Don, we got Hercules. We got Hercules coming. Zeus is in it. If we want to talk about Zeus, you can elaborate on Zeus and Hercules together. We got fucking Russell Crowe as Zeus. Not inviting Chris Hemsworth to the orgy anymore, but now his son.
You are uninvited to the orgy. Yeah, I mean, interesting post credits. I had a couple buddies tell me like, "Oh, I bet the Hercules is going to pop up," and honestly, I really didn't think it would. I didn't think they were going to go that way. So I was shocked. I was shocked to see, especially to see that is my boy Roy Kent from Ted Lasso. So I was like, okay, never in a million years would have thought he would have been Hercules, but it was pretty interesting, man. Yes, father. So yeah, I can't wait to see where that kind of goes. I mean, it was a good setup. I honestly, they tricked us again. I thought Zeus was dead. So lightning bolt through the chest. He fell from God knows how far. Also, so I was shocked to see when the screen came back up and he was there getting his wounds tended to. But yeah, good post-credit scene, sets up another new character. They've been doing this a lot lately with the whole like introduction of new characters, new people coming to the MCU, new actors, signing on that we find out in the post-credit scene, like, oh, look who this is now.
It's casting announcements now instead of
exactly. That's how they're casting stuff and announcing it to us, right? They had Harry Styles at the end of Eternals, and we had Charlize Theron at the end of Doctor Strange. So, and then now here we get that. So big casting announcements from Marvel in the post-credit scene. So you always need to stay and wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I mean, I guess anyone else got any other things we want to bring up regarding the movie? Because there's this one thing I wanted to talk about Phase 4 in general before we wrap this episode up. We got anything else on Thor: Love and Thunder?
I
didn't touch upon.
I was against. There's 2 things I was completely against Marvel going. One was the gods. I didn't want to see the god. I thought it was kind of stupid. And I don't want to see the Savage Land where there's somewhere on Earth that actually has dinosaurs and shit in. Those are the 2. I was like, please don't go there. Because I always thought Thor was a god, not an actual god. I thought they referred to him as a god because, he lives longer and he has powers. But I didn't think he was an actual god, like Greek mythology type. I had the same reaction as Jane did. Zeus? Really? Like, we're going to get the actual Zeus in this movie? But you know what? Yeah. Again, they did it really well. I get to learn to trust Marvel more. I really do. Because I was like, Zeus. And then I heard about Hercules before, because you know me, I don't give a shit about spoilers. I heard about it before that he was in it. And I even asked Edna if we saw it. So you think people are going crazy because it's Hercules or because of who's playing him? I think it's because of who's playing him.
I think it's because people are playing him.
Is why people are losing their mind. But other than that, no, again, I'll keep my mouth shut from now on. I still don't want to see the Savage Land, but I'll keep my mouth shut from now on because they did it really well. And I thought Russell Crowe was hilarious.
Tim, I really hope the first X-Men movie takes place in Savage Land.
Oh, please. It's just some things you can leave out and I'll be good with. But they did a good job with the gods. So I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Don, Rick, anything else on Love and Thunder before we...
I'm just glad we all liked it. We were talking about how divisive it was, and there's 4 of us, and we all liked it. So
I'm just throwing it out being fair about
it. No, but it's so true though, dude. Like when I'm scrolling like Twitter, like it's literally like this was the best, and the very next one's like what a piece of shit. Like, and then it's like literally people. I've seen people say it's the worst movie of all time, and I'm just like, what is going on right now? Like it's just literally like from one tweet to the next of how good it is and how bad it is, and I'm just like,
it's worse than Delta Force 2? No way.
Yeah. Exactly. That's where you went.
You ruined all the kids' childhoods with this one.
Yeah.
That's the worst statement ever. Say that shit. You ruined my childhood.
It's so weird when people hate something like this, And it's like, really? Like, how did I sit there with a smile basically on my face the whole time? And
Exactly.
you sat there angry that, Thor gave some kids powers for 2 minutes and that ruined the whole movie for you. Or, or whatever reason that somebody might cook up for, like, it was the end all be all and ruined the whole movie. Like, that's the baby with the bathwater. Like, okay, they didn't get that part perfect. You want to see something with a higher rating? Go watch Ms.Marvel.
There you go.
Go watch the first Avenger. Like,
I saw people hated this. I loved the Stormbreaker coming into this. I thought that was
Dude,
fucking hilarious.
It was
I laughed
every time
both
it happened.
times. Yeah, both times I laughed when I saw it.
Every
So I'm
time.
like, all right, I think it's fantastic. I want to get a Stormbreaker for the show and ease it
Yeah,
in.
just keep having it come in.
Amazon wasn't going to deliver on time, so I couldn't do it. But I was close to doing it.
That's funny. Stormbreaker was the Jar Jar Binks of this movie.
What?
Bastards!
You mean he was awesome and unappreciated?
Yeah. Love Stormbreaker.
He's underappreciated, that Jar Jar.
All right, there was something actually Rick and I were chatting about earlier that we want talking about. There it is. Wow. Was just kind of like it seems like the MCU was dealing with their first well, not really their first, because I feel like Eternals was their first divisive movie, and now people are reacting similarly to Thor, which those movies are completely night and day of. Whether Tim, I know what you feel about, but in terms of tone, you have one that's way more serious than one so lighthearted it's crazy. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of Phase 4 in general? I mean, I can pretty much think I can take a wild guess right off the top of my head, even though Don is the first time we're even chatting, but I have a feeling like I can take a wild guess here. But I personally don't think there's been a quality drop off at all. I think that Endgame and Infinity War were so crazy intense, and that was the culmination of 20-something movies at that point. So it was like, all right, you got like to the pinnacle. And then it's like we're kind of like resetting in a way and dealing with the aftermath of what happened there for the ongoing characters like Doctor Strange and Thor and Scarlet Witch and Spider-Man. They're all dealing with aftermath, but we're also getting a lot of origin stories of characters that people don't really like. Rick uses the term the casuals. The casuals don't really know. So I kind of feel like that's what there's some pushback for, because they don't know Tony. This isn't Tony Stark and Captain America and Iron Man and the people they're used to. So they're almost like just rejecting it a little because it's different. But I don't think the quality has dropped off. Don,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on the people that are the way people are what are your thoughts on Phase 4, number 1, and 2 of people's reactions to it so far?
Yeah, so I think it's an unfair spot to put Marvel in, right? Because who else? Like, there's no other template for this, right? We're 29 movies in to a saga, 29, and like 7 or 8 TV shows on top of it. Now, it's hard because if you're looking at it as a diehard lifelong fan and you look at Phase 4, I think that a lot of it is just like, oh, 4 hasn't been that great, right? And that's just because look at what we're living up to. Exactly. Like you can't come off of Infinity War and Endgame, which I truly feel are 2 of the best movies like of all time in period, let alone comic book stuff. Mm-hmm. They're just movies that are just next level, and you can't, like, how do you come back from that and not have it be a letdown, right? Like you're not going to touch that again until we do a Secret Wars, right? Like, so you have to almost take a step back and look at Phase 4 almost as Phase 1 Part 2, right? Because it's a reset. It's a soft reboot kind of for the universe where we're still continuing the adventures of Who's Left Over, but we're also trying to expand the universe again with new characters. And again, it's a bunch of origin stories, which is what Phase 1 was, and we're building. And so there's been great stuff. Like Shang-Chi is incredible. I really like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I love Thor. I think most of the shows have been pretty solid for the most part. Like, yeah, I don't think there's a big dip in quality. I just think we're getting so much more of it now. So we're spoiled. And I think that's where a lot of the haters kind of come into play, because we're just spoiled. So if everything isn't an Infinity War or Endgame, we're like, this sucks. you know, like, and it's just that crybaby attitude of just, if it's not better than the last one, it's the worst thing ever. And I don't know why we became that way. Like, we should be happy with where we're at, right? Like, I mean, we're blessed literally every couple months with something new. You know, we have She-Hulk starting literally in a couple weeks. You know, we have the little I Am Groot like shorts that are going to be starting in a couple weeks. Like, you know, we have stuff throughout the rest of the year, you know, like every couple months we're going to have something new to bless us with. And I think we just, Phase 4 is just so different because it's not the Tony Stark show. It's not the Steve Rogers show. Like, we had our OGs and we've told that story over the course of 20 plus films. And now we're telling the next chapter of it. And yeah, it's just hard. Like, I just think I think some people just have to look at it in a different perspective. If you take a step back and you do look at it as almost like a phase 1 all over again, I think you could appreciate phase 4 more. And I think the fact and the lack of continuity sometimes, the way it feels, leaves people upset because we're also spoiled by that. Everything, we love all our threads, right? Ooh, this guy was in this and that was in that, and I love that everything comes together. Whereas phase 4 feels just like a lot of that's over there, that's over there, that's over there. Like, Moon Knight had nothing connecting it at all. Like, there was like one little mention of like the astral plane and the gods of Black Panther,
Yeah.
but like really there was no mention of anything MCU related. You know, it's like slowly things are getting more and more disconnected, and then we're like, well, what's the big thread here? What are we leaning to? Where are we going? And so we missed that. I think that's why Spider-Man was so big, because we got the older villains back in, and we got Toby and Andrew, and it was just like, it was next level, right? We were really using the multiverse to kind of give us these moments that we never thought we'd have. Whereas all these other new things are just kind of like, well, they're there, but they're not really, we can't see the bigger picture yet. And hopefully after Comic-Con at the end of this month, we'll get some big more announcements. We'll get, Kevin Feige might allude to, okay, here's the next Avengers film. It's going to be Secret Wars. Like, and if everybody kind of knows where we're going, I think that the excitement level will kind of boost back. But I think that's where some of the reception is rough on 4, is just people not really looking at the bigger picture and kind of just being spoiled by what we already had come from before.
Rick, it's a little eerie that Don pretty much has said kind of what me and you were talking about on the phone this morning, because we were talking and honestly saying similar things that you were just saying. Like, that's kind of what it is. And Tim, I guess I'll throw it to you next. It's almost like, does it even have to be super connected like it was before? Like, we know they're going to tie it all together at some point. We know that's coming. And do you agree with the analysis? Like, you know, can't you just grade the movies on their own merits instead of just saying, like, if you didn't connect to Kang, or you didn't connect to Secret Wars, you're not telling me and beating me over the head with it, then you suck. Like, dude, the fucking movie Love and Thunder is good. Is it good or is it bad? You know, Strange, is it in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Is it good or is it bad? Like, what do you think of people's reception to Phase 4?
Well, people are stupid.
That's
I mean, now, I'll be the first to admit that Phase 4 would be my least favorite. Doesn't mean but it's like, like the Star Wars movies. I have my favorites, I have my least favorites, but I love them all. It doesn't mean I don't like them. The only legitimate movie I dislike is Captain Marvel, because I don't like the character and I don't like Brie Larson, so I can't get on board with it. I just can't. Even though they have a Kevin Smith reference in it, I still can't get on board with that movie.
That should have sold 2 seconds.
Yeah. Shang-Chi, I've only seen it once, so I can't really make a full judgment on it until I watch it again. I don't know why I haven't watched it twice, because usually, like,
So
I've seen No Way Home, 6, 7, 8 times already. Shang-Chi, I haven't got around to watching it again. The Eternals, I will never watch again. I fucking hated that movie. I hated it with a fucking
More than Captain
passion.
Marvel.
More than Captain Marvel.
My God.
I was so bored with that goddamn movie. I'll never watch it again. I don't care what they tie into it. But yeah, that's why I think
Marvel's tied to
but that's what left the taste in my mouth. I think Eternals kind of threw the Phase 4 for me a little. But no, Spider-Man was fantastic. Doctor Strange was good. Thor was good. But like I said, you have your favorites, you have your least. It doesn't have to all be connected. But I do like. Give me one little reference and I'm good. I don't need fucking, like the board with the strings going. This is why this is why this is this is why this. And I don't need that shit. One, like you said, the astral plane in the whatever
Moon Knight.
That's all I need. I know that where they are now. I know they're in that universe. That's all I need to know. But people like the bitch. People like to moan. But Phase 4 is, again, I like everything except for Eternals. I don't know why I can't get on board with that movie either. I was just bored to death. I think that's what it was. I'll try to give it another shot. I'll be fair, because there's been
I
plenty
always
of movies.
say give everything a second shot.
Well, there's been plenty of movies. Yeah, there's been plenty of movies where I watched it the first time and I was like, if I told you some of the movies, Don, that I hated the first time, you'd shit your pants. And then the second time, I absolutely love them.
I'll admit right now, I hated Anchorman the first time I saw it.
I hated.
You know
Fight
how much
Club.
I love Anchorman.
I hated
I've been
Club.
trying to get Eddie to rewatch Fast and the Furious for 15 years now.
He'll never like that one.
I told him, man, you got to give Vin Diesel one more shot.
No, Fight Club, I hated the first time I saw it. I think it was just because everyone talked about it the way they talked about it. But then I was like, oh, this sucks. I'm going to watch that again. But then it kind of crawled in my head for like a week. I'm like, I got to watch that again. Now I fucking love it. Maybe, I think Shang-Chi I'm going to like again. I know I wasn't fond of the last half hour. That's why I didn't like it. But I'm going to go back and watch that.
He's riding the dragon, man.
Yeah,
he's riding the dragon.
Martial arts and a fucking dragon.
No, that's what it was. Going into that world, whatever. I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. I don't know. I didn't do
great.
It. But I'm going to rewatch
we saw that
one.
together, didn't we? Didn't we see Shang-Chi? I think we talked afterwards because you felt you wanted more of like a street level martial artist. And then you just did it. You weren't ready for the magical thing.
I wasn't ready for the magical world of going into the fucking forest and opening up and there's like, lion-headed zebra, whatever the fuck those things were. Yeah, I wasn't into that. I wanted to see a more kung fu style street fighting. I don't care about the rings. The rings are awesome. But yeah, I wanted to see a more straight up fucking Bruce Lee movie. And then he's riding a dragon fighting crazy ass things. But overall, again, I have no problem with Phase 4. The TV shows were good. And all the movies are great, except the Eternals is my only bad spot in the whole thing.
Okay.
I just say sometimes, like, we go in, especially to these MCU movies, with such high expectations, right? And then when it doesn't hit with what we expected to hit, we come out disappointed and upset.
I didn't like the trailers. I didn't like the look. I didn't like anything about that movie in the trailers either.
But so I bet you that helped you walk into it almost kind of negative, like I'm not going to like this because you already didn't like the marketing.
There's been plenty of stuff that I saw the trailer like, that sucks. But then I went in like, okay.
I'm not saying you're going to love it on the second viewing. I'm just saying I find that like the second viewing, especially with Marvel movies, like when I saw Thor: Love and Thunder, even the second time, I was like, dude, I like that way more than I did the first time. Like it upped my love for it. Like, and with Eternals, I felt the same way. When I watched Eternals the first time in the theater, that opening night, I was like, it was all right. Like, and then I went back with the family that weekend, and I was like, I don't know, watching it with that different lens and kind of that second time, I was like, I actually enjoyed that way more than I did the first time. And I've just found with a lot of the Marvel movies, the second viewings, the third viewings, I almost appreciated more what they were going for because my own expectations are kind of out the window. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see what you thought, especially like Shang-Chi. I saw like 3 or 4 times in the theater. I love that one.
I loved it right off the bat.
Yeah, it's so good.
No, it's just the ending. Just the ending. I think that's what kept me from going back. Like I said, if I like a movie, I'll watch it 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't care. But those 2 movies I've only seen once.
Well, Tim, what you should do is you should check it out on if they still have it in the IMAX ratio on Disney Plus. Check that out. Check it out on home. You have the big screen TV. The IMAX ratio on Disney Plus there is a difference. It looks really and sounds fucking great. Rick, we were talking about it earlier. We cut ourselves short because we wanted to save it for the show. What are your thoughts on Phase 4? So far, maybe the thoughts on the fans. Maybe somewhat disconnect. I don't want to say full disconnect.
I didn't think it was going to work at all. Like when Tim was like, "Oh no, don't not the gods." Yeah. I was the same way with "Oh no, not outer space." I was like, this isn't going to work. People are not going to like this. This is not Iron Man. This is not Captain America. They're not going to like this. This is going to be like when the X-Men were in outer space and things were really weird. I didn't think people were going to like it. I own a lot of the comic books that are made reference to and this, the space stuff and the God stuff. I own a lot of Thor. I own a lot of like I own Micronauts comic books. Like I own a bunch of weird. Ed, you held my collection for a year or two. You saw there's Howard the Duck in there. Plenty of issues.
Nightcrawler miniseries.
Exactly. The Nightcrawler miniseries, the Long Shot miniseries, Magic, like
Sleepwalker.
Right.
Sleepwalker.
I like these other things. So when they expand the universe, like they're making it better for me. Me and Tim talk about it all the time on Shooting the Sith. I'm like, what? You're gonna shoot a Star Wars what? I'm in. Like you're gonna expand the mythos, I'm in. And same thing with the MCU. Like I'm in for the expansion of the universe, the mythos, everything with it. As long as it's a quality product, like I'm gonna be watching it. I did not think other people would appreciate it the same way I did, but a lot more people are. A lot more people are appreciating it than I thought would be. We got 4 people here,
and Jason.
I'm sure if we had 6 people, we might have 6 people that all still like it. They would all be with us. So I expected there to be haters. I expected the casuals to be haters. And I know that when the product gets so large, you'll attract a large amount of casuals. With MMA, the scene is so toxic. A guy can go out there and fight the fight of his life, and then people will still hate it. And they'll have negative things to say about it. Like, and with these movies, like these people pour everything they have into it. Like, if you think that these directors and these producers are getting their hands on a Marvel product and don't care, you're crazy.
No.
Like these people are looking to generate like generational wealth. They're looking to, have their opportunity to do their own major product based off of this one thing. Like there's a lot on the line for everyone, and I feel like they do their best with the product they put out. Are things not perfect? Yeah. But I mean, it's also a lot of product by this point. But 29 movies, like
there's 100 hours of MCU content out there now, officially. 100
it's a lot of hours. So if people can bitch about 2 or 3 of that 100 hours,
they'll take
sounds pretty good to me,
Yeah. No, I just
and don't. I'm sorry, did.
No, well, what I was gonna say quickly is yeah, I was going to follow on what Don said. I would highly suggest watching Eternals again, too, because I know we watched it together, and me, you, and Jax were kind of like, so what did you think of that? And it was an awkward silence. And I had to think about it a lot.
Dude,
and I never had to think about an MCU movie like that.
I dozed
and then,
off.
Yeah, no. But then the rewatch, like Don said, I actually liked it a lot more. And the more I thought about it, like, it's just because it's so different from every other MCU film that in Phase 4, I also think they've earned the right to take a lot of big swings right now and try different shit because of how successful they've been. And some people are not ready for the difference, like Eternals, and Ms.Marvel and Moon Knight and things like that. They kind of want it to be more Doctor Strange, Thor, like Black Widow. Give me what I'm used to. So
and people, how many people have knew who Shang-Chi and the Eternals were?
Not many.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a lot of problem. People are like, oh, why isn't Captain America in this? Dude, let it go, man. That's what Black Widow. That movie was pretty good too. It was like Bear said, it's not necessary. It wasn't necessary, but I thought it was a good way to put her gap between Civil War and Avengers. I thought that was fantastic. It was it was an enjoyable movie. But like, oh, she doesn't have any powers. So what? Neither does Hawkeye. Who cares?
And that's what I hear people complaining about Sam Wilson. Oh, he can't be Captain America because he doesn't have powers. Kind of makes it different, actually. He's just a dude who wants to do the right thing. So
but he's not just a dude in a suit. He's got the wings. He's got he's still awesome though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I that's why I kind of like the Sam Wilson thing, and I'm curious to see next team we get. For that. And I know Thunderbolts isn't officially announced yet, but we're supposed to be getting that as well. Well, we know we're getting another, of course, it'll be Avengers Secret Wars or whatever. I'm sure they'll call it something like that. So, I don't know. I just think that people need to chill out and, like you guys are saying, and it sounds like we're on the same page. Enjoy it. Dude, we're getting fucking awesome movies about comic book characters. Number one, just enjoy it for that. And 2, you don't have that warm blanket to tell you, oh, Thanos is collecting Infinity Stones and they're going to stop him. Be patient. Trust me, they'll have something. Like you said, a hashtag. In Marvel, we trust. They've earned it by now, dude. More than any other franchise in the history of film or entertainment. So roll with it, man. It'll pay off.
I think we're like, you got to open your mind. I think it's going to be really cool if we do get this Civil War movie with the incursions, and then we do have an opportunity to see the three like Captain Americas side by side. Well, I guess she isn't Captain America, but like I think the fact that we can get situations like that are going to be really, really cool.
Yeah,
we just got to let the story play out.
Just roll with it. Enjoy the new characters. Maybe we see the old ones. Maybe we don't. It's all fine. I think the quality is still high. So, whatever. We're looking forward to She-Hulk, like you said, and whatever else we got coming up. So,
and then the West Coast Avengers right after.
Exactly. Well, that's what Rick's been waiting for: Sleepwalker and the West Coast Avengers, and then he's truly satisfied.
Hey, I got the Daredevil. I got the Hawkeye.
You did.
The West Coast Avengers is next.
You did, and maybe you'll
get Nightcrawler four episode miniseries.
Wait, real quick. You said before, thank God for Daredevil on Netflix. Did Disney edit it?
No, he's just glad that they created it.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, I thought you meant like they edited like the good stuff. I was like, they better not edit, especially like the Punisher. If you edit that, it's just a dude in a shirt. Like, you can't because that show is all violent. You can't edit that show.
Yeah. Right, but no, that's what I meant by it, is that Disney didn't create it. It was created by Netflix, and I'm really happy that they did it, because I feel like with Love and Thunder, there's this scene where Gore he yells so scary that they had to cut it out. Like, really?
It's fine. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this episode up then. Tim, Rick, Don. Don's off screen right now, but thanks for jumping in. When Jason's not around, we got to get three people to fill his spot, man. I mean, that's just what it is. He's that tremendous. So thanks for joining us tonight. As always, if you joined us on Facebook on the live stream, check out the Granny's Peach Tea Facebook group and join that. There's a bunch of cool articles and stuff that we bullshit about that we can't go ahead and make the show with. Otherwise, it'd be a 10-hour show every week. So check that out. Check out Pop Culture Pros, because that's what we're presented by, as always. If you're catching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe and subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Same thing with Twitter. Follow us, Instagram, wherever you found your podcast. If you're listening on the audio-only version, hit subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. We got a lot of cool stuff. Granny's Peach Tea will be on hiatus next week while Jason finishes up his vacation. We'll be back the week after that. But in the meantime, you also got some cool stuff here. If you like what you heard from Don tonight, you got Am I on the Air? Don, what do you got coming up in your next episode, man?
Oh, man. So I am actually heading right after this to go see a early screening of The Gray Man, which is hitting Netflix next week, but going to go see in the theater tonight with the Russo brothers. Nice. Directors of Infinity War and Endgame, with Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling. Big spy movie that I'm hearing great things about. So going to go see that tonight in the theater. So we'll be reviewing that. And of course, just every Monday night, it's just the weekend news. So everything going on in the world of entertainment, television, movies, reviews, right here. Am I on the Air? AmIOnTheAir.com, right here on Pop Culture Pros. So yeah, definitely check me out as well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, dude. Don, you're welcome anytime, man. It was a pleasure. Tim, if you liked what we heard from Tim, you like wrestling, check out the Just Too Sweet show with Tim and Eric on Tuesday nights. They go ahead and break down everything in wrestling. You guys just put out a new episode, yesterday, the day before that, right?
Tuesday we did, yeah.
Tuesday. So you got that. If you want to hear Tim to go ahead and talk about Star Wars, you got Shooting the Sith. I know you'll be back soon, when Andor drops. So you got that. And you can also catch Tim and Eric on Friday nights on the A to Z show. And I did not prepare something like Jason does from A to Z, but they cover everything from A to Z, everything you can think of.
So apples to zucchini.
Apples, bang! Perfect. If you're into baseball, you can check me and Lisa out on Sunday nights on the Empire 161 show. We'll be talking about the week in Yankees baseball. If the Mets are your jam, check out the Put It in the Book show with Faraci and Rodriguez and Keith. They talk about the New York Mets as well. If you're into Disney, check out Gabby and Ashley. I think they're recording an episode right now for Skyline Reviews, so you can go ahead and check that out. And Rick, you'll be having your show coming. I know you're still working on that.
Dirty Podcast, waiting on a time slot.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're getting closer.
Yes. Once we get that time slot figured out, it'll be consistently inconsistent in your ear at all times.
Rick, it sounds perfect for you. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. All right. Peace. Or 2 weeks.